Chapter 1984. Pull them away, right now. Fire Cloud Evil God frowned and said. He was in a bad mood. He had been in a bad mood since the morning. He was woken up by Long Shirua's phone call, and received the news that his disciple was attacked before he could eat his breakfast. Things went wrong the moment he arrived at the venue. How could this old man, who had to put on a monkey show instead of enjoying his old age, be in a good mood? At this time, without the old man saying anything, the people in charge of the venue had already moved. Actually, when the god, Mr. Jiba, stubbornly walked in front of Father Stella and scolded him, they had already reacted. They immediately cut off the live broadcast signal and hurriedly went forward to persuade him. Unexpectedly, before they were even halfway there, Mr. Jiba was the first to back down. He ran all the way back to his seat and squatted down as if he was looking for cover. Was this guy really a pope of the Protestant Church, a representative of the Transcendence? Was he here to be a joke? But at least this god knew how to run after he scolded someone, and there was no scene of the Magician Association as the Scarlet Flame Tower Master and the churches, Father Stella, confronting each other. Everyone was relieved. But at this time, Father Stella was not pulled back by the people around him and walked toward God Jiba in a few steps. Everyone felt that they were in trouble. Father Stella, let's talk nicely. An agent from the administration was the first to arrive at the scene. Then, he suddenly screamed and lost his balance, rolling down the stairs. He rolled all the way to the bottom, but the agent was still hugging his feet and rolling back and forth. F***ck. He stepped on my toes. It hurts. This investigator was probably really heartbroken. He did not care where he was and only cared about venting his grief and anger. Who would have thought that the representative of the church, as the face of the church, Father Stella, would step on someone's toes? How could he do that? At this time, most of them had the same thought. Stop Stella first. In short, the field control manager reacted and suddenly said in a deep voice. However, when several staff members were about to stop Father Stella suddenly jumped onto the table. Then, he stepped on rows of tables and ran in front of a god, Mr. Kiba. Motherf ***, only I, Stella, can scold people to my heart's content. You want to scold someone in front of me, scold me, and then run away after scolding. What's the meaning of this? Without saying a word, Father Stella stepped on Mr. Kiba's head and pressed Mr. Kiba's head on the seat. Today, I will enforce justice on behalf of the heavens and deal with you, you evil creature. How dare you? How dare you insult the Pope? Damn it. In fact, although Buggy did not bring Lucifer and Skaha into the venue, he still had 2 followers with him. However, these 2 followers were just ordinary people with strong bodies. It could not be helped. The new God Church was developed quickly by Buggy's deceit. He did not want to cultivate his own extraordinary power at all. He did not know how to cultivate it. Buggy was actually a happy person. He was very loyal to his own desires. The believers that he harvested were basically wasted on his own enjoyment. How could he have any surplus to develop the extraordinary power of the new God Church? It was only later when Lucifer brought Skaha into the church that the situation improved slightly. Under Lucifer's kind suggestion, Buggy reluctantly took out some of his rations and exchanged them for some medicine that could make his followers strong and smart without any side effects. It was used to improve the followers' physique. This time, 2 of the followers who had undergone the initial transformation were following him. They were the ones with the most obvious effect. At this time, the hearts of the 2 followers were like erupting volcanoes. They were so angry that they were full of anger. And there were 3 of them. They could not control themselves and were about to explode. Then, Father Stella suddenly took out a baseball bat and knocked the 2 followers unconscious on the ground. When Buggy saw this, he was scared out of his wit. F***ck. Was Lucifer trying to push him to a dead end? Let's talk. I don't want to talk to people who associate with demons. Father Stella raised the baseball bat high with both hands. Trash like you should be trampled to death by me in the invincible style of the other world. You're just a cameo in 3 episodes. You're here to give me experience and equipment. Turn into light and then drop your equipment. Would he die? Buggy did not know if he would die if this thing hit the back of his head with full force, but he would definitely be seriously injured. Lucifer, you be *tch? Bitch. You've killed me. What should I do? Buggy could not help but panic at this time. He saw more than a dozen agents rushing over, but looking at Father Stella's current situation, it was obvious that they could not make it in time. Before they arrived, he would have at least taken a hit from the bat. I can't do it. I have to do something. In that split second, Buggy madly chanted the word, exchange, in his heart. When he came here, he had carefully checked. Although many items related to transcendence in the City of Forbidden were gray, and even ordinary offensive weapons were gray, some simple defensive items were not restricted. For example, the helmet of a small motorcycle. He wanted such a helmet at this time. Exchange items could be worn directly. But this way, he was afraid that he would expose that he could do some illegal things in the City of Forbidden. But he could not care so much. He would think about it later. Saving his life was more important. Stella, you F***er, don't you know that this guy is under my protection? You dare to hit people in front of me? At this time, the Scarlet Blaze Tower's owner of the Magician Association appeared. He grabbed the baseball bat that was about to fall with one hand and held it tightly. Buggy looked at the Scarlet Blaze Tower's owner, who helped him in disbelief. What's going on? Trash Scarlet Blaze, why don't you go roll in the sheets with your wife? Why are you showing off in front of me? Father Stella suddenly snorted coldly. You 1-minute man, I'll make you a cuckold later. Come on, Stella. Go to the suburbs and come back alive. The Scarlet Blaze Tower's owner said with a gloomy face. Unexpectedly, Father Stella suddenly let go of the baseball bat at this time, but he did not move his foot away from Buggy. He was not fierce, but he asked curiously, You really want to protect this guy? I, Scarlet Blaze, never take back my words. The Scarlet Blaze Tower's owner sneered at this time. Not only me. Our association will protect him. Not for anything else, just because this guy dares to scold you in front of the whole world. We are brothers. TSK. Father Stella sneered. What's the point of saying it so nicely? If you want to support this lousy church to discuss the church, just say it. I won't blame you. After all, with your IQ, you can only think of such lousy methods. You want to protect him? I'm afraid you can't. I don't know what you're talking about. The Scarlet Blaze Tower's owner said indifferently, Everyone is equal. The appearance of a new church naturally has its reasons. Just because your church is more noble than others? Of course. Father Stella blinked at this time and said, What else? We are charged with money, there are people above us. The Scarlet Blaze Tower's owner was stunned for a moment, then sneered. I really want to see, with how cheap your mouth is, if one day you can go up, will your master be angered to death by you? Father Stella said seriously at this time. Then if you can't see it, I definitely can't go up. He is jealous of me, afraid that I will be too handsome, and after I go up, I will crazily take over the harem of 3,000 angels, so he definitely won't dare to open the door for me. You motherf***er. The Scarlet Blaze Tower's owner was stunned at this time. You should go to hell. Hell is good. Father Stella yearned at this time. I heard that in the myths of the East there is a person called Ksitigarbha, who swore that he would not become a Buddha if he did not f***ck all the girls in hell. That is my idol. I have long wanted to try the taste of a banshee in hell. You don't say we, the protagonists of destiny who are envied by him, have people in hell. Do you know the Star of Dawn? This guy is giving me the name of a daughter and a wife, so that when I achieve great success in the future, I can dominate the world. In the distance, Paladin Wasco had already fainted and slumped on the chair. Sister Lavinia saw this and quickly pinched his philtrum. It's over, it's over. Sister Lavinia, we can't go back, please apologize. Paladin Wasco's eyes were lifeless at this time, like an empty shell looking at the lights on the ceiling of the venue, like an old man who was about to die. Okay, let's not talk about that. Father Stella suddenly changed the topic at this time. Trash Scarlet Blaze, for the sake of the two of us being acquaintances, when I dominate the world in the future, I will reward you with 2 banshees in hell to play with, so that when you are old, you don't have a capable secretary by your side. It will be embarrassing. Trash Stella. Let's duel. The kind that will not stop until one of us dies. The Scarlet Blaze Tower's owner's eyes instantly turned red. Come on then. Father Stella instantly pinched his sleeves. Do it. At this time, there was a cold shout in the venue. A dozen control personnel who had quietly sneaked in flew out at the same time. They were divided into 2 groups, directly separating Father Stella and the Scarlet Blaze Tower's owner. Don't pull me. I'll beat this son of a bitch to death. Stella, you trash who knows how to brush your mouth, come on. The 2 people who were separated could not move their hands, they could only move their legs. The 2 people's feet were entangled in the air for a moment, and in the end, they could not resist the pull from the crowd. Lord, please move your great gaze a little again. Suddenly, a voice that sounded like it was about to collapse slowly rang out. Then, the group of agents who caught Priest Strahl suddenly felt a chill on the back of their neck. Sister Lavinia came over at some point, holding a folding stool in her hand. She seemed to have snatched it from the media area. F***CK. Seeing Sister Lavinia directly pick up the folding stool at this time, a few agents who caught Father Stella instantly released their hands and bounced away. Then a large-scale beating scene appeared, under countless flashing lights. Stop filming. Don't film. Delete all of them, or all of your filming tools will be confiscated. In the media area, several agents waved their hands and shouted loudly, but there were always stubborn people who thought they would be fine if they secretly took photos, but they were still caught and broke their phones and SIM cards on the spot. Seeing this, Auntie Run had to secretly click her tongue, and then planned to upload the photos to the cloud drive first. But at this time, a palm instantly covered her phone screen. Miss Wren, please don't put us in danger. Ren Xiling could only smile awkwardly. After the agent took the phone away, he did not destroy it, but completely deleted some things that should not exist, and then politely returned the phone. Sorry for the offense, Miss Wren. What else could Auntie Wren say? She glanced at the work ID hanging around the agent's neck and smiled bitterly. Agent Liu, right? You are so polite, what else can I say? Don't worry, I know what to do. Unexpectedly, the agent surnamed Liu's face suddenly changed slightly at this time, and he pulled down his work ID, then said seriously, Hey, what's the matter? This worker is not mine? My surname is not Liu, I should have taken the wrong one. No, I changed it back. Miss Wren, sorry to disturb you. Goodbye. Bye. Agent, run. What's the matter, why are you in such a hurry? Auntie Wren opened her mouth with a puzzled look. Lizzie, did I say something wrong? It seems that there is no such thing? Lizzie said subconsciously. Strange. Ren Xiling had to shake her head, then sat down. She thought for a while, then quickly took out a white paper and a pencil, and drew something on the white paper. Sister Wren, what are you drawing? I'm drawing the scene of the fight between the priest and the tower master based on my memory. Auntie Wren narrowed her eyes at this time. Do you know what it means to have both pictures and text? Drawing with your soul? Lizzie blinked her eyes. The scene of the 2 matchstick men fighting looks like love, doesn't it? In short, the venue unconsciously returned to peace. Later, Father Stella was tied to the seat. The iron chain was borrowed from the agent by Sister Lavinia. The little nun also said very guiltily that she would compensate for the broken stool. The administration quickly said that it was not necessary. In fact, the iron chain did not need to be returned. Just let it be. Sister Lavinia said that the people from the authority were approachable and would definitely pray for them. As for God, Mr. Geba, he had been called aside for the necessary criticism and education because of his bad influence during the meeting. Buggy was silent and obedient. He was glad that he kept the secret. It was a lively morning. Chapter 1985. The live broadcast resumed, but the outside world had no way of knowing what had happened in the short period of time that the live broadcast had been interrupted. The outside world, people could only guess and imagine what had happened. Do you guys think that there was a battle between a god and a priest? Nonsense, this is clearly a script arranged by the production crew. They even interrupted the live broadcast on purpose. It's clearly a trick left behind by Mango TV next door to cheat the ratings. Actually, people still like to watch the fun. Since the first day of the Transcendent Summit, people had tried their best to stay at home and watch, but today there were already people gathering outside. Bars, restaurants, screens in front of the plaza, and pantries were everywhere. The grand meeting of the Extraordinary Summit was gradually reduced to a football tournament that was held once every 4 years, but the difference was that this time, the people were seriously watching and discussing it, and not most of them were mindlessly following the trend and pretending to be on their moments. At night, the streets were dead silent because of the curfew, but during the day, people couldn't hold it in anymore and ran out. Even if they didn't do anything, it was good to brag to their friends. Birds of a feather flocked together. Sir, do you want to read someone's fortune? There was a guy with a head full of gray hair wearing sunglasses. He looked like he had experienced the vicissitudes of life, but he shouldn't be that old. He set up a stall in an alley. The stall was very simple. A wooden box was used as a table. On it was a stack of white paper and pencils, a straw mat, and beside it was an even bigger wooden box that was as tall as a person. There were only 2 words written on the stall: fortune-telling. However, business didn't seem to be very good. There were very few people who noticed this place. When Mr. Jean walked past, he saw that other than the guy with gray hair wearing sunglasses, there was also a rather greasy man in his 30s. You actually said that I'm a fortune-teller who will die young. Peach blossoms. Where did I get peach blossoms? I love my current wife very much. You're a fraud. Sir, I'm just speaking according to the book. Don't panic, don't panic. If there's a problem, we can slowly solve it. Look, I have a talisman here. It can bring good luck, avoid calamities, and can also focus the spirit. 5 yuan for 1, 10 yuan for 3. If you buy 30 yuan in one go, you'll also get a copper coin that's consecrated for free. This is a copper coin consecrated by an authentic Mount Longhu Taoist master. It can ward off evil spirits. Scram. Liar. The greasy middle-aged man in his 30s instantly got up and left while cursing. Don't. You haven't paid the fortune-telling fee yet. Sigh. The fortune-teller sighed. People these days are really degenerating. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps could be heard. The fortune-teller looked up and saw a man wearing a hat and a thin windbreaker despite the hot weather. The fortune-teller immediately revealed a dog-like smile and said, "Mister, do you want to read my fortune?" Was he asking about his future or his marriage? If it's not effective, we won't charge you. Mr. Jean looked at him casually and suddenly asked, "What do you think? Palmistry, physiognomy, and word reading are all fine. If you like them, we'll take a look. Let's do the divination." Mr. Jean thought for a moment and immediately sat down. He picked up the pencil and wrote the word circle on the white paper. Test this. The fortune-teller picked it up and glanced at it. His fingers seemed to be calculating something. His lips seemed to be muttering something. After a while, he asked, "What do you want to ask?" "I won't ask anything. You just have to test this word," Mr. Jean said indifferently. "Say as much as you can." The fortune-teller thought for a moment and said, "Circle and garden have the same sound." You might be planning to go to a place related to a garden or a garden. Mr. Jean was expressionless. He said indifferently, continue. The fortune-teller shrugged his shoulders and said, Circle is also a member of staff. This means that you might want to find a person, but you might not be able to find that person. Because this member is locked up, so you can't go in and the member can't come out. This means that you might be in a completely isolated state. Mister, are you planning to go and pay your respects? Mr. Jean was still unmoved. Test again. The fortune-teller said again, Circle has the meaning of perfection. You wrote this circle, obviously you have some kind of hope in your heart to achieve perfection. But at the same time, a circle can also be written to cover up a lie, to justify yourself. This means that what you hope in your heart may also be a justification or deceiving yourself. Mr. Jean frowned slightly. After a moment of silence, he said slowly, What else? He saw the fortune-teller draw a circle on the white paper. He said, Do you see this circle? It looks like a moon, right? But if you write a circle in the day, how can there be a full moon in the day? Mister, this may only be a mirage. Why can't it be the sun? The sun is also round. Mr. Jean said suddenly. The fortune-teller added many lines outside the circle he drew. He smiled and said, This is called the sun. The sun that can shine and heat to illuminate others is the sun. The moon that is hidden is the moon. The moon that is illusory is the moon. The moon that is written in the dark is the moon. Mr. Jean was silent for a moment. Then he suddenly looked at the large wooden box that the fortune-teller placed against the wall. He suddenly asked, What is in this box? Knives, pots, bowls, ladles, clothes, shoes, steamed buns. I want to see. That won't do. The fortune-teller shook his head. I only have this little property. Mr. Jean suddenly said, You aren't blind. The fortune-teller smiled and said, I didn't say that those who wear sunglasses must be blind. Mr. Jean was silent. He slowly reached into his clothes, as if he wanted to take something out. The fortune-teller looked at Mr. Jean motionlessly. Mr. Jean also looked at the fortune-teller. Finally, Mr. Jean took out his wallet and asked, How much is it? Only $5. The fortune-teller opened his palm. Mr. Jean gave the $5 and stood up. He said indifferently, Your fortune is not accurate. Don't lie here. Find a proper job. You won't starve to death. The fortune-teller scratched his head in embarrassment. I just came here and didn't find a job. Don't blame me. Mr. Jean didn't say anything and directly left. But the fortune-teller suddenly shouted and threw something. Mr. Jean subconsciously caught it. He opened his palm and saw that it was a triangular talisman. A talisman of safety. The fortune-teller smiled brightly. This was really consecrated by the celestial masters of Longhu Mountain. It's not a lie. This thing is useful? Mr. Jean shook his head. Didn't this city forbid all magical powers? The fortune-teller smiled indifferently. In the past, before these gods and demons appeared, didn't people also go to the temple to ask for a talisman of safety? You don't need to care whether this thing is useful or not. Just ask for it. What you ask for is a peace of mind. Moreover, this talisman of mine was really consecrated by the celestial masters of Longhu Mountain. Thank you. Mr. Jean chuckled. He casually stuffed the talisman of safety into his pocket and walked out of the alley. He only heard the fortune-teller behind him continue to shout casually, Fortune-telling, fortune-telling. It can be good luck, it can be avoided, it can be used to plant peach blossoms, it can be used to cut peach blossoms. The talisman of safety consecrated by the celestial masters of Longhu Mountain is on sale. $5 each. Don't miss it. Mr. Jean couldn't hear the following words clearly. He just walked quickly to the street and stopped a taxi. After getting in, he directly said to the driver, Go to Nanfa Temple. The driver was an old driver. At this time, he asked, Boss, are you going to pray, or to visit, or to burn paper offerings? Is there a problem? The old driver said, If you're just visiting, of course there's no problem. But if you're going to burn paper offerings, you have to prepare it yourself. If you want to buy it, you have to go to other places. Mr. Jean said indifferently, Where to buy it? The old driver pretended to be in a difficult position. You also know the way of the world now. Many shops are not open, but I'll try my best to ask. I know a shop that runs a funeral clothes shop. It should still be open. Then go. Mr. Jean waved his hand and said indifferently, No need to dial the meter. Okay. This day, Nan Xiaonan didn't go to the rental house. She seemed to be thinking about the female worker who wanted to be a technician in a mansion. Instead, she went back to the police station. She couldn't be too hasty. She had to do it slowly. Only slow work could produce fine work, right? In fact, the police station was empty at this time. There were not many people in it. They were all sent out to maintain the order outside. Since the curfew started, the police here had been in an overloaded state of overtime. They really had time to die but no time to be sick. Only Xiao Bao was still conscientiously slacking off and playing games. Xiao Bao, why are you using the power cord at the door again? I forgot to clean it up last night. Xiao Bao smiled at this time. Immediately, he said with surprise, Lady Nan, why did you come back today? Didn't the director say you took many days off? Did you cancel your leave? No, I'm still on vacation, Nan Xiaonan said casually. Then, she sat back at her desk and said directly, Xiao Bao, go and check if there's anything we need to use. Don't come back before noon. What? Xiao Bao was dumbfounded. Don't come back before noon? What do you mean? Don't come back before work. Nan Xiaonan thought for a while and said, What the F***ck? Is there such a good thing? Xiao Bao suddenly quivered. He rushed to Nan Xiaonan without saying anything. Lady Nan, are you sure you're not tricking me? Then, I'll go? Nan Xiaonan blinked. I'll go right away, Xiao Bao said. Then, he packed up at the fastest speed. He even stuffed the laptop into his backpack and ran out of the department in a hurry. In the end, he turned back and said, Lady Nan, I love you. Moi. Nan Xiaonan shook her head. When Xiao Bao was really far away, she opened the bottom drawer of her desk with the key. She took out a 13-inch laptop and turned it on. Instantly, the screen lit up, but there was no image of the laptop being turned on. What appeared was a pair of big eyes and a big mouth. The built-in fan of the laptop was buzzing at this time. Whoa, Master, you finally remembered me. I'm going to die from the electricity. Don't talk nonsense. Nan Xiaonan rolled her eyes and directly plugged in a network cable to the laptop. Get ready to work. The moment the network cable was plugged in, the big eyes on the screen instantly squinted. Then, the built-in fan turned louder. Master, what do you want to do this time? Let me think. Nan Xiaonan made a cup of coffee and sat back in her seat, thinking carefully. This laptop used to belong to Xing Chuang, and it had always been locked in this office. Even after the City of Abstinence started, it didn't disappear. Nan Xiaonan speculated that the City of Abstinence was simply to prevent supernatural creatures from causing trouble. It didn't want to hurt anyone. Xing Chuang's life was a life, so it didn't lose its life because of the City of Abstinence. Although many abilities of Xing Chuang's creatures were also banned, the inherent abilities of Xing Chuang didn't seem to disappear. Of course, most of Xing Chuang's creatures didn't have any special effects. However, as for a laptop, because it could think and operate automatically, it was equivalent to a ready-made hacker. As for the level of this hacker, it was judged based on the level of its own hardware. Anyway, it was the government's money, and the laptop had been upgraded before. This time, the reason why Mr. Jin's group was able to relax their vigilance so quickly was largely because of this Xing Chuang notebook. Before she became a worker, she had already used this Xing Chuang laptop to change her information on the citizen system. According to the information provided by Daqing Yao Wan, there were members in Mr. Jin's group who were very good at network technology. So, before she took action, Nan Xiaonan had already made preparations. In fact, Nan Xiaonan's guess was right. Mr. Jin had indeed quietly investigated Nan Xiaonan's personal information, because the information was basically in line with the character of the worker Nan Xiaonan. Mr. Jin finally withdrew the bug installed in the second-hand washing machine and gave up monitoring the worker girl Nan Xiaonan. I have a few names here. Nan Xiaonan coldly entered several names in Xing Chuang's notebook at this time. These were the names of the people in Mr. Jin's group. Search for the things behind these names for me for the time being. Remove those useless names. With that said, Nan Xiaonan suddenly said after thinking for a while, also, go to the Black Card website and see if you can hack into the backend. I want to know more about the Black Card website. Okay. The built-in fan was spinning wildly at this time, and the pages quickly popped and closed in front of Nan Xiaonan. Nan Xiaonan leaned on the back of the chair, drinking coffee happily and waiting. She was used to this kind of life, where there would be servants to complete the task as long as she ordered. This made her seem to have found a trace of satisfaction as a great mentor of Xing Chuang. Chapter 1986. Little Eight's work efficiency was very high. Who was Little Eight? Little Eight was the name of Lady Nan's laptop with a messy configuration. As for why it was called Little Eight? Because it was the eighth creature she had created in this world, she named it Little Eight. It was definitely not because Little Eight could let Miss Nan know a lot of gossip, so she named it Little Eight. Back to the topic. Through the information of Mr. Jin's team revealed by Big Clear Pill, it took Little Eight about 10 minutes to fish out some information about the team members from the huge sea of information. But there was not much information. Many of the information seems to have been violently deleted. Little Eight began to type on the screen, there's a very skilled hacker in this team. It's speculated that the information was deleted by this hacker. So, Nan Xiaonan saw a lot of words on the screen with unknown. She could only browse the information that had not been deleted. It was not that the information had not been deleted, but that the hacker in Mr. Jin's team could not delete everything in the sea of information. Suddenly, a news report about a suspected werewolf attacking pedestrians attracted Nan Xiaonan's attention, because Mr. Jin's name appeared in the news report. Jin Zhe. That was Mr. Jin, Mr. Jin's real name. The news report was not very long, and the traces of writing were quite serious, but it was enough to understand the general situation. Nan Xiaonan took a sip of coffee at this time, letting the bitter taste slowly spread in her mouth. So, that's what happened. Just as Nan Xiaonan was thinking about her next move, Xiao Ba's screen suddenly began to burst out like a fountain, gushing out many mosaics. The changing mosaics made Nan Xiaonan frown instantly, and she asked subconsciously, Little Eight, what's going on? However, Nan Xiaonan did not get any response from Little Eight at this time. Nan Xiaonan gradually felt that something was wrong. In the situation where she could not stop it even after frantically typing on the keyboard, the witch of the academics in her subworld suddenly turned into a computer Lao Bai, intending to solve this problem with a tiger-like operation. First, she unplugged the network cable. But when Lady Nan's hand touched the plug of the network cable, the changing mosaic was instantly fixed. Then, a large number of scattered pixels began to assemble. In an instant, an almost perfect woman's face appeared on Little Eight's screen. Then, the woman's face slowly pulled away, revealing her body. After a few blinks of the eye, a near-perfect woman in a red dress appeared on Little Eight's screen. Her entire body seemed to be wrapped in a layer of dark red shimmer. It's you. The Red Queen. Lady Nan was shocked. She blurted out, "Eh? The Red Queen who's a size bigger?" The woman in the red dress on the screen was silent. After a moment of silence, she frowned. Who is the Red Queen? The voice came from Little Eight's speaker. Under the high-fidelity sound system, the woman's voice seemed to have a slight electric current sound. Lady Nan wondered if she should change the speaker for little 8. Nothing. I just said it casually, don't mind it. The Red Queen is just a nickname. Lady Nan suddenly smiled embarrassedly. Last night when she was staying in the rented house, she was too bored, so she watched a movie and woke up to the end of the world. Then, a group of burly men with guns broke into her house. That was why the memory was still fresh in her mind. Wait, who are you? Lady Nan reacted instantly. His little 8 had been hacked. Although little 8 had lost most of its abilities due to the ban, as a self-thinking computer, little 8's ability in the sea of information was undoubtedly top-notch. After all, he had spent a lot of money in exchange for a lot of hardware. I know who the Red Queen is. The woman in the red dress suddenly said. The Red Queen's setting is similar to mine. From now on, I'll be called the Red Queen. Anyway, I haven't officially named myself yet. Are you serious? Coffee. It was impossible to spit out the coffee because Lady Nan wasn't drinking it at the moment. For the time being, this woman in the red dress was called the Red Queen. After all, she had already called herself that. Lady Nan tapped her fingers on the table. She was actually not afraid. What a joke, this was the city of bands set up by the future boss. All supernatural powers were completely ineffective. Could this woman who called herself the Red Queen shoot a bullet at her through the screen? But why would the Red Queen appear on little 8's screen? When she returned to the office today, Nan Xiaonan only gave little 8 2 orders from the moment she turned on her phone. Search for information on Mr. Jin's team and investigate the Black Card website. This was obviously not the work of the hacker in Mr. Jin's team. What a joke, even if the hacker in Mr. Jin's team was very strong, he would never be able to beat little 8 who had paid for it. In other words, you're the person behind the Black Card website? Nan Xiaonan instantly made a judgment. The mysterious webmaster who created the Black Card website? Correct. The Red Queen's voice sounded again. Nan Xiaonan thought for a while and said, Why did you follow the network cable to find me? Is it because I'm hacking into the Black Card website's backend? To be honest, this kind of thing should be done by thousands of hackers in the world right now, right? They didn't break into my first firewall. The Red Queen said indifferently, Only you broke into the third wall, so I'm more curious. Third wall? Lady Nan frowned and asked curiously, How many walls does the Black Card website have? Unlimited, the Red Queen said directly. Nan Xiaonan opened her mouth. So, are you King kidding me? The Red Queen said slowly, As long as my consciousness is awake, I can create countless walls. As long as the speed of breaking through is lower than the speed of my walls, you will never be able to break through. Lady Nan sneered. Don't piss her off, or she will run out of the city of exclusion and create thousands of computers. Let's see who gives up first. She has always been on the path of exploding computers. Wait for the network cable to be unplugged. You be *TCH in a red dress. I've sketched your facial features and micro-expressions. You seem to be delusional about something, the Red Queen said coldly. Are you thinking about something lewd? Lady Nan instantly smiled like a lady. She elegantly picked up her coffee and took a sip. Then, she said indifferently, If you're just curious to see who broke through your 3 walls, you've already seen it. If there's nothing else, scram. Don't you want to know about the Black Card website? The Red Queen suddenly said, You're also an extraordinaire. The one who broke into my firewall was not you, but your laptop. Lady Nan tilted her head. The Red Queen said, It's called Little 8. When we met in the information ocean just now, it said that it wanted to be my husband. Then, it told me everything. Star creation, I'm very interested in this ability. Where's the *CK? What kind of trashy things have I created? Why are all of their personalities so weird? Nan Xiaonan, hang in there, you must hang in there. Since you know about my star creation technique, be more polite in front of me. Lady Nan snorted and said, If one day I don't like your website I'll… Cough cough. I will make 18,000 units of Xingchuang Xiaojiu, Xiaoshi Xiaoqian, and directly blow up your website. That's true. The Red Queen thought for a while and said, from the current situation, there's indeed a higher risk for me. Or rather, I should eliminate the risk as soon as possible. For example, like this. As she said that, just as Nan Xiaonan was stunned, the energy-saving light bulb above her head suddenly exploded. Then, the lights in the entire office started flashing crazily. What do you want to do? I grew up scared. Lady Nan snorted coldly. I think I still have the ability to make you unable to walk out of this city of exclusion, the Red Queen said expressionlessly. The intelligence of this city of forbidden is not bad. It shouldn't be a problem to arrange a traffic accident or accidental electrocution to death. I can also create an assassin network temporarily and designate you as the target of assassination. Human money is just a bunch of useless numbers to me. But to humans, it's something they can sacrifice their lives and go crazy for. What the heck? So much? Nan Xiaonan opened her mouth and frowned. Wait, you humans? You're not human? I'm the Queen of the Information Ocean, the Red Queen said calmly. The current Red Queen. Artificial intelligence, artificial life? Nan Xiaonan had traveled around the various subworlds and had encountered some subworlds with highly developed technology. There were also some information life forms like the Red Queen. And this kind of life form was very difficult to deal with, especially in a world with a high degree of information. There was no way to kill such a life form, unless you could destroy all the electronic products in the world that had chips and were connected to the internet. The few of them could exist in every corner of the world, and their shadows could be found everywhere. This was also one of the types of enemies that Nan Xiaonan was most unwilling to face when she was traveling around the subworld. But this didn't make sense? Logically speaking, the technology level of this subworld shouldn't have reached the level where such artificial life forms could appear, right? Furthermore, she was still in the process of Boss Luo's entrance examination. How would she know if her future boss would care about her life and death before she completed the preliminary examination that she didn't know if it was an entrance examination or not? If she was really hunted down by the whole world because of the Red Queen, it would be very troublesome and tiring. It would cause her to explode mentally. What do you want to do? After thinking about it, Nan Xiaonan's voice had a hint of gloominess. It's very simple, the Red Queen said calmly. Soon, there will be a package sent to you. What you need to do is to perform a star creation on the things in the package. After this, I will unconditionally help you obtain all the information about the black card in this world. I can also provide you with all the resources in this world. Just one star creation? Nan Xiaonan frowned. Then, she thought of something and said, You want to live in the real world? The package has been sent, the Red Queen said calmly. Please be prepared to check and receive it within 3 days. Wait, before the word wait could come out, the woman in the red dress on Little 8's screen had disappeared. The screen returned to the appearance of many pop-up windows, and then, Little 8's intoxicated face appeared in the right corner of the screen. Do you know that you look like a teddy in heat when you smile? I want to lick the Queen's Geo. F***CK. The lighting in the office returned to normal, but Lady Nan's face was gloomy. She felt that there were countless eyes watching her from the outside world. She even had a feeling that she couldn't move an inch. Even her own phone might already have the shadow of the Red Queen. After staying in a daze for more than 20 minutes, Lady Nan snorted and muttered, What technology? Isn't the civilization of magic better? At this moment, the office door suddenly opened. A young man in a yellow uniform came in with a bag. Who ordered the takeout? No one ordered it? But that's what it says on the receipt. Are you Miss Nan? That's me. The young man looked at the receipt and then walked to Nan Xiaonan with a smile. He put down the takeout and suddenly said, Look, it says here that the takeout is for you. The signature is the Red Queen. She also asked me to tell you to remember to take the delivery. Okay, enjoy your meal, and remember to give a 5-star rating." The young man's smile was very warm, but in Lady Nan's eyes, it was very creepy. After the young man left, Nan Xiaonan uneasily opened the takeout box. Spaghetti with meat sauce? What if someone sent her a package with a bomb in it? The demoness of the academies in its world instantly felt nauseous and almost vomited blood. Jean Zay's whereabouts has been found. This is the link. Nan Xiaonan's mobile phone suddenly rang, but this information was obviously not from Little 8. It was from the Red Queen. Damn it! I can't get rid of her. Nan Xiaonan gritted her teeth and said. At the venue of the summit meeting, the storm between the god Kiba and the church's father Stella had completely calmed down. Consultant, all the transcendent representatives are in place. Then let's begin today's meeting. Fire Cloud Evil God waved his hand. Thus, the spokesperson of the authority walked steadily to the podium, cleared his throat, and announced the official start of today's transcendent meeting. First, the first topic was the establishment of the World Transcendent Association. The World Transcendent Association was an organization that managed all the transcendent and inhuman in the world. Chapter 1987. The so-called proposal was something that was proposed by one party, modified by many parties, and finally approved by all parties. It was actually a matter of whether or not to accept it. The meeting was held by the Kelowna Authority, and all the transcendents were invited to attend. The main topic of the meeting was the establishment of the World Transcendental Association, and naturally, the Kelowna Authority came up with the corresponding proposal. Of course, it was just a proposal, and not a bill. There was never any law against transcendent. Legislation needed to be acknowledged by the public. Legislation against transcendence was useless even if the government agreed to it, and only when the transcendents were willing to sign it would it have the ability to bind them. In fact, before they were invited to attend the meeting, all the transcendents had already guessed the existence of this segment, and had already prepared for it. Moreover, many of the transcendents behind the scenes saw it as a specific process of dividing the cake called the world. In fact, there had been a division since ancient times, and different regions basically did not interfere with each other's business. It was an unspoken rule that was tacitly agreed upon, but this was the first time it was brought up in the open. The Kelowna Authority's proposal this time meant that whether it was the power of science or transcendence, all of them belonged to the living beings of the world. Even if they were different, they should strive for a common goal, and that was the advancement of the world's civilization. First, live in harmony with each other as good neighbors. Second, gather all forces to maintain world peace and security. Third, promote the development of the world's economy, society, and civilization. Reading out a proposal was a long process of thinking. When the Kelowna Authority's spokesperson read out the proposal, the transcendents below the stage were also quietly discussing it. Abiding by the principle that whoever had the biggest fist had the most right to speak, it was the Kelowna Authority who spoke on the stage, because this ancient country had a person who was said to be invincible on the planet. The Shinryu of Kelowna was the equivalent of a nuclear weapon in human society, and the only nuclear weapon in the Transcendence Society. Moreover, regarding how to restrain this power, it seemed to be an unsolved problem since ancient times. In theory, the Shinryu of Kelowna was not bound by the secular world. Regarding this point, the inhuman domain already had a deep understanding. If this Shinryu was so shameless, would he have plucked all my golden apple trees? The Scarlet Blaze Tower Master grumbled under his seat. Then, the Ice Tower Master lightly pinched his arm and said, "Who knows, that Shinryu might be watching you right now." The Ice Tower Master glanced at a certain spot on the upper floor of the Great Hall. It was the only room left upstairs. Everyone knew that it was where the true dragon of the Divine Land sat, but it was blocked by a single-sided glass wall. What the delegates didn't know was that Kelowna's Shinryu wasn't in the room. Kelowna's Shinryu was mercilessly exploiting a certain ferocious butterfly like an evil landlord. The main body of the association. First, the Transcendental General Assembly. Number 2, the Permanent Security Council. Number 3, Trial Court. There was no problem with the Transcendental General Assembly. All the Transcendental delegates and behind-the-scenes representatives who agreed to sign this plan would automatically get a seat. This was absolutely fair. There was nothing to say, it was just a matter of signing or not. A seat on the Permanent Security Council was something worth fighting for. There is no doubt that Kelowna, the Magician Association, and the Church will automatically get a seat on the council. Below the stage, Mr. Gareth was silently counting his fingers. The night mechanism was about to be kicked out of the first tier, but how could a team that was used to playing in the English Premier League have the nerve to play in the English Championship? Before the Queen of Great Britain attended this meeting, her only request to Mr. Gareth was, "Do as you see fit." It seemed to be a very Buddhist instruction, but it was actually the most demanding. Do as you see fit. How do I know what to do? Waiting online, anxious. Is it like this? What a headache. They don't even bring the night mechanism to play, okay? But obviously, Mr. Gareth wasn't the only one who was troubled by this matter. Many people were also silently counting their fingers at this time, calculating the matter of the council seat. So, regarding the establishment of the association, the issue of the council was suddenly stuck. How do we choose this seat? Do we choose it ourselves, or has it been decided early? If it is decided internally, then what's the point of holding this meeting? Transcendents are more of an individual. If I don't sign this plan, are you going to invade my territory? No one knew where the voice came from, but it suddenly rang out in the conference hall, interrupting the official speaker's announcement. At this time, the speaker looked at Consultant Firecloud calmly, trying to get further instructions from him. These words still needed Evil God Firecloud to come out personally, so Evil God Firecloud, who was in a bad mood because of the disappearance of his disciple, frowned, picked up the microphone, and said in a deep voice, "The issue of the council will be discussed after this plan is read out, please be patient." "I'm not impatient." The voice sounded again. "It's just that if the issue of the council is not solved, there is no need to read the following things, it's just a waste of time. If it's solved, we can naturally continue. We didn't come all the way here to listen to your nonsense on the stage." Evil God Firecloud frowned again, his eyes quickly looking for the speaker's figure in the hall. Soon, not only Firecloud, but many people's eyes also locked on to the speaker's figure. It was a man with a big beard, dark yellow skin, wrapped in a white cloth, and wearing 2 big earrings. This person calls himself Hao Ma. His real name is unknown, but he claims to be a descendant of the ancient Persian dynasty. The agent next to Evil God Firecloud's secretary quickly said, "As for Hao Ma, in ancient Persian mythology, it means a warrior in the legends, and he is also the god of wine." Ancient Persian? Firecloud was startled, and then nodded, indicating that he understood. So, Firecloud stood up directly at this time, his eyes looking at the person who called himself Hao Ma, and said indifferently, "So, how do you think this problem should be solved?" "It doesn't matter, stand up and say it, we are in a meeting, we can all express our opinions, if there is a problem, just kick it out." Hao Ma stood up directly at this time, expressionless. "Every delegation here, as long as they sign, can get a seat in the council, I have no objection. But as for the council's permanent member seat, I don't accept anyone other than my own to manage me." "I think I understand now," Firecloud said indifferently. "Mr. Hao Ma means, you want to be a member of the council, right? Not want, but must." Hao Ma said in a rough voice, "It's said that the true dragon of the divine land is the most powerful force in the world. I'm not that talented, but I'd like to see it for myself. See if this legend is true, or if it's just the biggest lie since ancient times. This guy wants to challenge the Shinryu of the East?" The Tower Master of Crimson Blaze Tower was the first to be dumbfounded. Although he hated Long Shirua every day for plucking all his apple trees, and said that he would fight Shinryu more fiercely than anyone else, in fact, he never really fought with his life. Where did this silly girl come from? The Tower Master of Crimson Blaze Tower said subconsciously, this guy's hometown must not have been visited by that robber surnamed Long. At this time. Where is this silly girl's hometown? I will go and greet your whole family tomorrow, challenge me? In Boss Luo's old house, she was holding a watermelon. She later asked the little butterfly to go downstairs to buy it, digging with a spoon and snorting disdainfully. Sister Long, don't spit watermelon seeds on the ground. I just swept this place. Looking at the big bad butterfly wearing an apron and a broom, the fierce big bad butterfly's accusation, Kelowna Shinryu's eyes suddenly fluttered. Sorry, as for where this silly girl came from, it was a common question for everyone at this time. But the transcendent representatives were happy to see this silly girl making trouble. This was right, this was the procedure of a meeting. Why was it so peaceful and no one came out to mess things up? Gongsun Xiu and the acting clan leader of the White Tiger clan didn't count. That was an attack outside the meeting. It wasn't what they were looking forward to. You want to challenge the Shinryu of Kelowna? Fire Cloud Evil God looked at Hao Ma again. He knew that this meeting would not go on peacefully. The transcendent representatives. To put it nicely, they were representatives, but to put it bluntly, they were a group of martial artists. When he was young, this meeting was like a martial arts convention. It was impossible to expect a group of martial artists who lived on the edge of blood to reason with you. That's right. I want to break the myth of the Shinryu of the East. I want the world to know that this is the biggest lie since ancient times. Hao Ma said loudly. The strongest force on the planet, invincible in the world, these are just big words made up by you. Only the great good god Ahura is the beginning of all things. They were probably happy to see things develop in this direction. Fire Cloud Evil God glanced at the meeting room casually. The evil god of Fire Cloud nodded slowly under the illumination of the flashlights that suddenly sped up. He looked around once more and then said calmly, since everyone is silent, it seems that the establishment of the association has indeed been stopped, but that is normal. There are conflicts all the time, but it's fine as long as they can be solved. Since the board of directors is stuck, let's solve this problem first and then continue the meeting. I don't know how the Kelowna administration is going to solve this problem. This was not Hao Ma's voice, it was another eccentric voice. Fire Cloud Evil God was too lazy to pay attention and said directly, of course, we will use the simplest and most effective method. Let's have a martial arts competition. I think everyone is itching for a fight, so why don't we show the world your real skills? Oh, it's time to show off your strength. There's no need to pick a time. Anyway, everyone has been here for some time, and you should have rested enough. To be fair, let's draw a space outside the land of abstinence, and let everyone speak with their fists. The time will be tomorrow. Then, today's meeting will be suspended. After that, Fire Cloud Evil God waved his hand and walked down from the podium. Then, he quickly walked out of the meeting room, not even giving the people any time to react. He left in such a hurry. Is there something he needs to do? Under the podium, Song Howren suddenly frowned. Looking at the back of Fire Cloud Evil God, he couldn't help muttering, I always feel that accepting Hao Ma's challenge is just an excuse to leave as soon as possible. Little Song, 100 Tribulation Taoist of the Taoist Association, suddenly shouted. President, I'm here. Song Howren immediately responded. What's the matter? 100 Tribulation Taoist said with a smile. Little Song, do you think our Taoist Association should participate in the martial arts competition? Song Howren couldn't help being stunned. He thought for a while and said, President, this is a serious matter, I can't say. 100 Tribulation Taoists said, Little Song, if our Taoist Association participates in the competition, will you agree to fight for Taoist Association? Song Haoran shook his head directly. There are many seniors and young talents in the association who are far better than me. President, you must be joking. Hundred Tribulation Taoist also shook his head. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the girl who taught you behind your back. Song Haoran couldn't help but stare. President, I don't mind, I'm just nagging. Hundred Tribulation Taoist stood up slowly at this time, then patted his old waist and left with a smile. It's so good today, the meeting is over so soon. I like to get off work early. Ha ha. Hey, isn't this Elder Turtle? Let's go have some tea? Song Haoran frowned. He had never been able to hide Chuyang's existence, but he had never made it public. So far, those seniors of the Taoist Association who had dealt with him didn't seem to notice the difference of Chuyang. Fight! Song Haoran couldn't help but fall into contemplation at this time. Gradually, some people left their seats and hurried back to discuss the upcoming martial arts competition. In such an environment, there were two big guys and one small guy in white robes, with their faces masked and pointed hats, sitting motionlessly. Here comes the question. Shall we fight or not? Natsuya Suzuki suddenly asked. Mr. Che Tian glanced at this hired bodyguard expressionlessly and suddenly asked curiously, if you participate in the competition, do you need to pay extra? That's a problem. Natsuya Suzuki also fell into contemplation. Or, you can pay more and I'll help you beat all these guys to the ground? Mr. Che Tian smiled directly, saying, you haven't told me how much I've paid you this time. Natsuya Suzuki pretended not to hear it, lifting up the kid beside him. Kid, let's eat. Chapter 1988. The sudden suspension of today's summit meeting was completely out of everyone's expectations. Who would have thought that the summit meeting would suddenly become a martial arts conference for the world's extraordinaries? But it didn't seem like a bad idea. Compared to scholarly meetings, they appeared to be in need of something more exciting. Would a worldwide live broadcast of a showdown between superpowers of different countries be more effective in triggering a surge of adrenaline in humans than any sports competition? Then, let's call tomorrow's competition the Power Conference. It's simple and violent. In the world of the Internet, it was unknown who first suggested it, but it quickly received countless people's approval. The name, Power Conference, quickly replaced the official description and became the topic of discussion. Power Conference? What the hell? They even made the odds? Aren't they afraid of losing everything they have? After returning to the hotel, the Crimson Blaze Tower Master snorted when he heard the news. He even felt that tomorrow's Power Conference was unnecessary. This was clearly something created by those people who had no hope of becoming a member of the board of directors. For a huge organization like the Magician Association, becoming a member of the board of directors was an established fact. The Magician Association didn't need to use martial arts to show off their strength. However, the Crimson Blaze Tower Master didn't object, and he was even interested. Because, finally, I can give that scumbag Stella a good beating. In the hotel's fitness room, the Crimson Blaze Tower Master was training as if he was on steroids. As for why a mage like him was doing this kind of training, as long as he's happy. These were the Ice Tower Master's original words. As for what he thought of tomorrow's Power Conference, what can I think? The Ice Tower Master said indifferently. In tomorrow's competition, as long as the East Shinryu goes, it doesn't matter who goes. If the East Shinryu doesn't go, it doesn't matter who goes. So, the Ice Tower Master is saying that China might be the biggest winner this time because of the existence of the East Shinryu? The Ice Tower Master is saying that even you are afraid of the power of the East Shinryu? I didn't say that, this is fake news. Oh, right now, the Ice Tower Master was doing an interview with a famous media company of the European Union. In front of the camera, behind the Ice Tower Master, through the glass behind the Ice Tower Master, People could see that the Scarlet Blaze Tower master was wearing gym clothes and madly beating a sandbag. Fake news next. Similar interviews like the one conducted by the Magician Association were also conducted by various supernatural organizations. Of course, these interviews would be broadcasted on the local supernatural organizations. As long as the superhuman representatives were considered to be the national team, then the local media would interview the national team. That was the general understanding. If you are more concerned about the situation of transcendence in other countries, welcome to the public channel. In a hotel suite, the TV screen was suddenly turned off with a remote control. At this time, Father Stella came out with a suitcase and slammed it in front of Wasco and Sister Lavinia. Here is 1 billion in cash. Everyone, bet on me to win. You can also bet with me you can win. This was indeed something that the Stella that Wasco knew since childhood would do. The old paladin subconsciously looked at the suitcase that fell open because of the excessive movement, and he couldn't help but frown. You motherf *cur. Is this Zimbabwe currency? What's the problem? Father Stella crossed his chest and snorted, saying arrogantly, If it's not enough, I will add 3 times more. Paladin Wasco instantly sighed, then shook his head and turned his face to the side. As for Sister Lavinia, she directly dragged Father Stella away. Wait, don't think that I won't hit you because you are a woman, Lavinia? Try touching me again. I will take you to Tokyo Hot's office for an interview. Lord, please! The violent voice came from inside. Wasco sighed again, then picked up the phone and asked the front desk to send some gauze, hemostatic medicine, and the like, and prepare to clean up. After that, Paladin Wasco decided to call the Pope, who was far away at the headquarters of the church, to discuss about the Power Conference. Mr. Gareth also called Her Majesty the Queen from his residence. However, Mr. Gareth had already made the 3rd call, and the reply was that Her Majesty the Queen was walking her pet at the moment. Her Majesty the Queen seemed to be in a good mood today, and she was in good spirits. She was walking around the garden for the 3rd time now. Can't I answer the phone just because I'm walking my pet? The sad Mr. Gareth almost smashed the phone. Finally, when the 4th call was made, Her Majesty the Queen responded. Her Majesty the Queen responded like this. Participate well, show the style of Britain, the whole country will support you, Gareth, you are the pride of our Britain. Mr. Gareth said that he couldn't do it, and could he resign now? Her Majesty the Queen also said, Gareth, you are being naughty again, I will set the alarm tomorrow to watch your performance on time, good luck. Smash. In all honesty, this was really the first time Mr. Gareth had ever smashed Her Majesty the Queen's phone. In the end, Mr. Gareth had no choice but to pick up the high-quality phone. At this time, a text message came in. It was from Lancelot. The general idea was that she would be ordered to arrive at the City of Abstinence tonight. Mr. Gareth couldn't help but frown and muttered with some worry, We are facing strong people from all over the world, and only Lancelot is sent as support. It is really. If Mr. Farrell can represent the innate mechanism, at this time to attend, what was he thinking? No one knew where Farrell was at the moment. Mr. Gareth only felt that the future was bleak, so he decided to go to the hotel bar to get drunk. At this time, there was no one around him who could share his worries, and he could be called an orphan of this extraordinary summit. Lord Qingming, the cabinet has just given instructions that in this martial arts conference, they will fully support us. No matter what, we must succeed in obtaining the qualifications for a seat on the board of directors. A man wearing a yin-yang Taoist robe was kneeling in front of the chessboard, playing Go by himself, and did not even respond to the speaker. Lord Qingming? The cabinet means, they will lend the 3 divine artifacts. What era is it now? Still calling it 3 divine artifacts. In front of the chessboard, Lord Qingming shook her head and sighed, Don't you feel ashamed? The 3 pieces of scrap metal in the shrine were all made by you. Lord Qingming. The speaker suddenly became excited. Good book. Lord Qingming said indifferently. I will get the qualifications for the board of directors. Now, please don't disturb me. You can go out first. Yes. All of them were quickly preparing strategies to deal with the sudden power conference that was being held all of a sudden. The world seemed to have ushered in a carnival of discussion. On the way home, Auntie Ren sat in the interview car and was looking at another thing, the construction of the power conference venue. Let the world see what it means to be built in China? Auntie Ren frowned, then shook her head. She felt that it was meaningless. This thing can be pulled out and made into a program alone. Some TV stations are really shameless for ratings. Hey, they directly dug out the mudstone mountains that besieged our city before and used them as materials. At this time, Rico took the phone from Renziling's hand and watched the live broadcast of the martial arts conference. She said, I think it's pretty good. Waste is reused. There's no waste at all. Auntie Ren looked out of the car window. I still don't know how we are going to do the live broadcast tomorrow. These gods fight and move mountains and seas. It's too dangerous to film live. Sister Ren, you also know it's dangerous? Rico asked in surprise. What are you thinking about? Auntie Ren said angrily. I'm only 30 years old. I still have a lot of youth. Rico smiled and tickled her. Old Q glanced at the two playing in the rearview mirror. He swallowed quietly and immediately asked, Boss, are we going back to the company now? No. Auntie Ren thought for a moment and said, I want to go back and see Xiao Shi. Wait, you should walk around and see if there are any clothes stores open. I want to buy some clothes for Xiao Shi first. Got it. Xiao Shi. Long Shirua's private phone was almost blown up by the authority. In the end, Kelowna Shinryu, who was really annoyed, could only reluctantly answer the call. Whoever wants to call can go ahead. I'm not interested. Lord Long, are you not feeling well? Why do I feel that your voice is a bit different, as if you're much younger? What's your name, what's your work number, and how many years have you been in the authority? My name is Lu Zi. Everyone calls me Lu Zi. I've been in the authority for 3 years. In fact, at the annual meeting of the authority last year, I even talked to you, Lord Long. At that time, the one wearing white clothes was me. Oh Lu Zi, you go back and find the old man. He will arrange for you to go to the 18th department. Just say that I asked you to go. That's it, don't call again. After hanging up, he turned off the phone and threw it directly on the sofa. Kelowna Shinryu picked up the watermelon again and dug with a spoon. At this time, the little butterfly monster who was mopping the floor curiously asked, Sister Long, what's the 18th department for? I seem to have heard you talking on the phone several times. You said to arrange for people to go to the 18th department? Kelowna Shinryu said casually. The 18th department is the department in charge of cleaning the toilet. It's used to take in those who offend me. Sister Long, raise your leg. The little butterfly monster had to say so. Kelowna Shinryu directly raised his leg and subconsciously looked around. He immediately nodded with satisfaction. Sure enough, you're the professional in cleaning. Pianxian, are you interested in going to the authority? I can make you the director of the 18th department. So the big ferocious butterfly directly pasted the rag on Kelowna Shinryu's face, wiping and wiping. Sister Long, look at how dirty you are after eating the watermelon. Your face is covered with it. Kelowna Shinryu reacted and pretended to fight. Girls only had a few moves in a fight, but after all, they had a few moves. When Kelowna Shinryu was thinking about which move to use, she suddenly heard some noise outside the door. She frowned and rushed to the front of the door. She glanced at the doorway, and saw Renziling and the others standing outside the door. Kelowna Shinryu was shocked. She suddenly turned around and put her back close to the door, nervously looking at Luo dance. Sister Long, what's wrong? Shoo! Xiaoxi gestured for him to keep quiet. Then, as if she had a guilty conscience, she started to roll her eyes. Outside the door, Auntie Rin opened the old sliding door. When she was about to open the inner door, she found that the inner door seemed to be locked from the inside and couldn't be opened at all. Xiaoxi, are you inside? Ren Xiling knocked on the door and said, It's me. Sister Ren. We're back. Have you unlocked the door? Xiaoxi, can you hear me? I can hear you. Please wait a minute, I'll be right there. Right now. No hurry. Auntie Ren answered with a puzzled face. Then she looked at old Q and Lizzie behind her and shrugged. I don't know what this child is doing inside. Maybe she's afraid? Lizzie was leaning against the door and eavesdropping, but was knocked on the head by Ren Xiling. The pitiful Lizzie held her head and said, It seems that there's someone inside. How could it be? Auntie Ren shook her head. At this moment the inner door opened. The homeless girl Xiaoxi with a braid suddenly appeared in front of everyone. Xiaoxi was wearing an apron, yellow plastic gloves, and a mop in her hand. Her face was dirty. Xiaoxi? Ren Xiling looked at her in surprise and asked puzzledly, What are you doing? Xiaoxi shyly lowered her head and said, I don't think it's good to eat and live here for free, so I'm going to do something, just want to clean the house. Clean. Auntie Ren suddenly opened her mouth. She subconsciously looked into the house, only to see that the floor was as clean as new and the whole house was exuding a fragrant smell. This house had been uninhabited for a long time, so it had a musty smell. At this moment it looked brand new. Did you do all this by yourself? Auntie Ren's eyes lit up instantly. Xiaoxi nodded gently at this time, then immediately shrunk her shoulders and lowered her head. I was very careful. I didn't break anything in the house, you can rest assured. F***ck. Auntie Ren directly screamed at this time, and then under Xiaoxi's surprised gaze, she directly lifted Xiaoxi up. You're such a cute girl. With that, she put Xiaoxi down, then rushed into the house. She rubbed the table with her fingers, then looked at Lizzie and said, Look. Lizzie, look carefully. There's no dust at all. Look at you, don't you feel ashamed? You've lived in my house for so long, don't mention sweeping the floor. You haven't even washed the clothes, what do I need you for? Lizzie. Lizzie blinked her eyes crazily and acted cute. I can help you vent your energy? What are you talking about? Xiaoxi is just a child. Auntie Ren suddenly glared, then rushed out, pulled Lizzie's ear and pulled her into the house. Hey, I seem to smell watermelon? Lizzie suddenly muttered at this time. Chapter 1989. By the way, Xiaoxi, have you had lunch? Yes, I have. Someone delivered some food at noon. He said that Big Sister had ordered it this morning. Ren Xiling nodded and then took out several sets of clothes she had bought on the way back. Xiaoxi, try them on and see if they fit you. You didn't bring a change of clothes when you came out? Forget it, don't think about the past. People should look forward to the future. Come on, let me put them on for you. With that said, Auntie Ren intended to lead Xiaoxi into the room to change clothes. I can do it myself. Xiaoxi quickly took the bag at this time, bowed her head and thanked her, then hurriedly ran into the room. Of course, it was the former boss Luo's room. Oh, this child is shy. Auntie Ren suddenly smiled and didn't care. She immediately looked at Lizzie. What are you doing? Lizzie was lying under the table at this time, looking for something with her but up. Found it. Lizzie cried out in surprise at this time, then raised her palm. She was pinching something between her two fingers, a black thing. What is this? Watermelon seed. Lizzie said at this time, I said I smelled watermelon. I, the famous detective, Khaleesi Nan, the truth. Then, what does this mean? Old Q asked subconsciously. Lizzie narrowed her eyes and said solemnly, the case is solved. Xiaoxi secretly ate watermelon when we weren't here. TSK. 2. Hey. Watermelon. Aren't you curious where she got the watermelon? It's very suspicious, okay? Lizzie said angrily. Auntie Ren didn't care at all. What's so strange about it? Maybe it was sent by the boss of the bun shop downstairs? We're old neighbors and know each other well. Is it strange to send some fruits? Am I out of favor? Lizzie pointed at herself and asked pitifully. Auntie Ren rolled her eyes and immediately took out 2 bills. There are a lot of small shops downstairs. Buy whatever you want. You haven't eaten yet, so let's go. Yes. Pear clapped her hands together and said respectfully, Nyang nyang, little Pear obeys. Inside the room. As soon as Xiao-Shi entered, the dumbfounded butterfly monster stood up and said, Long jie. Before Luo Dance finished her words, she asked Xiao-Shi to cover her mouth. Xiao-Shi also made a hush gesture. Thus, the little butterfly demon could only ask in an angry voice, Sister Long, what should I do now? Climb out of the window? There's an anti-theft net. You can't climb out. Flush out the toilet? Sister Long. I'm just kidding. Little She smiled embarrassedly and then said, It seems that there is no other way. You can only leave after they leave. But remember, during this period of time, you can only hide here and don't make a sound. The little butterfly monster made an okay gesture. Xiao-Shi, are you done yet? Open the door and let me see if the clothes fit. There was a knock on the door. I'll be done soon. Right now, wait. Xiao-Shi said, gritting her teeth and pulling the little butterfly monster to the wardrobe. She opened the wardrobe and stuffed the little butterfly monster into it. You're lucky. Lucky? The little butterfly monster was very confused. But at this time, the true dragon of the godly land grabbed a handful of clothes and directly covered her body, and ordered, Listen, don't come out of the wardrobe until I call for you. Do you remember? Or I'll send you to be the director of the 18th department. Later, when Xiao-Shi walked out of the room in new clothes, Auntie Ren couldn't help commenting. However, Xiao-Shi had lived in a very bad environment for a long time. Although she changed the clothes, the smell of dirt on her body was still quite strong. Anyway, there's nothing special in the afternoon. Auntie Ren ate the food bought by Lizzie and thought for a while. How about this, after lunch, I'll take you to the hairdresser downstairs to cut your hair. Look at your hair, it's messy. You haven't cut it for a long time. By the way, buy some daily necessities like towels and toothbrushes. It's not good to always use what we've used. No need. Xiao-Shi suddenly shook her head and then said timidly, I don't have money. Auntie Ren was overflowing with love at this moment. She only felt that this poor child had suffered a lot over the years. Her heart ached, and her eyes were red as she hugged Xiao-Shi. Xiao-Shi, elder sister. It seemed that old Q and Lizzie had nothing to do. Old Q was now hiding in the dining room obediently and eating rice. He said with a mouthful of rice, Lizzie, it seems that you've really fallen out of favor. You see, there's still some space in my house, and I just need one more person. I can eat a lot. Lizzie counted with her fingers seriously. I have to eat 50 yuan for breakfast, 100 yuan for lunch, and 60 yuan for afternoon tea. For dinner, it's a little more sumptuous, about 150 yuan. And at night, I have to eat a midnight snack, about 100 yuan, or I can't sleep. Old Q, can you support me? With a monthly salary of only 6,000 yuan. I don't deserve to have love. Old Q cried. Rub your head. Later, Old Q drove the interview car back to the company in disappointment and clocked out. As for Auntie Ren, she was already the boss's woman. If she didn't leave early, she would be unworthy of such a noble identity. So, she directly took Lizzie and Xiao-Shi to the big shopping mall in the city. Originally, she wanted to buy some daily necessities for Xiao-Shi, but Auntie Ren thought that she had suffered too much pressure these days. She felt unusually depressed, so she wanted to go shopping. That girl Pianxian should know that I slipped away, right? In the car, Xiao-Shi, who didn't have a chance to go back to her room, secretly thought, but soon she forgot about it. The 3 women, 2 adults and 1 child, wandered on the street with milk tea. Sister Ren, I want to go back to my home. Your home has been burned down, why do you want to go back? Ren Xiling frowned. Besides, there are monsters outside, it's safer to stay in the city. Xiao Shi said sadly. But if I don't go back, I won't have a home. In the future, wherever I am, there will be a home for you. Ren Xiling patted Xiao Shi's head. You don't have to feel burdened. If you meet a normal person, he or she will help you. It's just a coincidence that you met me. This is fate. Since it's here, you have to accept it. Xiao Shi, you're a good girl. I'm also very lucky to be by your side when you need help the most. But I don't want to bring trouble to others. Xiao Shi shook her head. I can live alone. When I grow up, I can find a job and support myself. Auntie Ren's nose twitched again. At this time, Lizzie was taken out again. Look at her, she's such a self-reliant and independent child. Lizzie, look at you, what else can you do besides being a pet? I think it's the luckiest thing in my life that I can be your pet, Sister Ren. You're shameless. I don't want it anymore. Lizzie's nose also turned red. Except for your home, where else can I find a Miss Yu Yi who can cook so well? Damn it, what did I do in my previous life? Auntie Ren sighed. In fact, she was used to fooling around with Lizzie, so she didn't feel anything. But at this time, she realized that Xiao Shi was next to her, so she said embarrassedly, Xiao Shi, don't mind it. We're always like this. The days of fooling around are not boring. We don't quarrel. Xiao Shi nodded timidly and then asked tentatively, that? Sister Lizzie just said, who is Miss Yu Yi? Oh, her? Auntie Ren suddenly said proudly, she's my future daughter-in-law. Clap. What a waste. Lizzie screamed. The milk tea cup in Xiao Shi's hand was slightly distorted, and the milk tea flew high through the straw. She looked stiff at this time, and quickly said, daughter-in-law. Yes, are you okay? Auntie Ren quickly took out a tissue to wipe. What's wrong with you? Why do you look so weird? Xiao Shi quickly said, no, it's just that, I feel that Sister Ren, you seem to be quite young. You're so young, and you already have that? Even Kulizi Nan couldn't find any fault with this reason, so she smiled and said, it's an adopted son. The son of Sister Ren's former husband. This relationship is quite complicated. You'll get used to it gradually. Xiao Shi smiled embarrassedly and said, Sister Ren is so nice, her son must be very nice too. Auntie Ren's nose was very high at this time. My son is the best in the world. Xiao Shi, I'll introduce you to him later. Okay. Xiao Shi smiled and replied, I also want to see what your son looks like. He already has a wife so soon. Very good, very good. Not so soon, he's already in his 20s. Auntie Ren said casually, but Xiao Shi, you can't fall in love so soon. Girls should learn to protect themselves. There are so many scumbags in this world. With that, Auntie Ren's eyes turned and said teasingly, what a pity, Xiao Shi, if you grow up a few more years, you must be a great beauty. If my son doesn't already have a girlfriend, I want to take you as a child bride. Bah, who wants to be the wife of that profiteer? I don't want to talk to you anymore. Sister Ren, you're making fun of me. Xiao Shi suddenly lowered her head and rushed out. She ran very fast and disappeared in an instant. This child, isn't her face too tender? Ren Xiling immediately blamed herself with annoyance. My mouth. Lizzie, hurry up and find someone. This child is not familiar with life, don't lose her. In the shopping mall, Xiao Shi quickly walked through the crowd and soon ran all the way to the rooftop of the shopping mall. She seemed to be looking for something and peeped around on the rooftop. But it seemed that she didn't find anything. At this moment, a sarcastic voice suddenly came from behind. The true dragon of Zhenzhou actually wants to be someone's child bride. TSK, this is big news, I've lived long enough to see it. I didn't live my life in vain. Long Shirua suddenly turned around and saw a little girl in a black dress sitting on the water tower behind her. When did you come back? It was Su Zijuan who was sitting on top of the water tower. Su Zijuan sneered, then jumped down from the water tower and said with a smile, not long after I arrived, I met a panicked owl outside. I was curious, so I caught it and asked a few questions. I didn't know if I didn't ask, but I was surprised when I asked. That damned owl. Long Shirua snorted and immediately frowned. Things are different from what you know and think. I naturally have my reasons for doing so. Su Zijuan snorted. Isn't it just for men? Old witch, you've fallen. I don't have time to bicker with you here. Shinryu of Kelowna frowned, then looked up and down at Su Zijuan, muttering, You came back so soon, has the matter of the club been finished? The old turtle sent me a document of the club. Su Zijuan restrained herself. I killed my way up, but the club had already evacuated. In the end, I only killed a guy called the Fool. The Fool? Shinryu of Kelowna frowned. How's his strength? She had already read the information of the club that Xiang Lu had given to her in order to atone for his crime, so she knew that the Fool was the first seat of the club and his strength was unfathomable. Just SOSO, Su Zijuan said indifferently. Once I make a move, all the enemies will kneel down and beg for mercy. Don't be careless, this club is not as simple as you think. Shinryu of Kelowna frowned and thought for a while, then said, You said, the club has been evacuated? Su Zijuan nodded. I have a list of 26 members of the club. At present, the 26 members are scattered all over the world, and it's impossible to find them in a short time. Then why did you come back this time? I came back for Gongsun Xiu. Su Zijuan frowned. This guy is not dead, and he is the son of the 26 members of the club. Gongsun Xiu has secretly joined the club for so many years, and I suspect that the Xianyuan Palace has been infiltrated by the club. Long Shira looked at Su Zijuan with astonishment and suddenly said, Don't you hate the Xianyuan royal family? Why do you suddenly care about them? Su Zijuan sneered. Who dares to rob the Xianyuan royal family before I lose all of them? You don't mean what you say. Long Shirua shook her head, and then thought for a while. Chichikamaya is temporarily living in my hospital. You can talk to him about this matter. Gongsun Xiu is the son, and it can't be solved in a short time. Since we don't know what arrangements Gongsun Xiu has in the Xianyuan Palace these years, you'd better not alert him. Su Zijuan smiled. I'm not in a hurry now, because I found something more interesting. Long Shirua subconsciously asked, What's wrong? Kelowna's Shinryu even had an ominous feeling. The princess of the Xianyuan royal family said with a smile, Of course, it's the Kelowna's Shinryu shamelessly acting cute, right? Am I right, Xiaoxi Xiaoxi? Xiaoxi. F***CKU. They finally parted on bad terms. Kelowna's Shinryu slammed the door after saying those harsh words. She had been out for too long, so she didn't want to cause more trouble. Chapter 1990. At noon, the portal opened, and Miss Maid came back with a basket of vegetables. She said that these were produced by a farm in the next subworld, and it was just in time for the harvest season. Therefore, Miss Maid's industry had spread all over the subworlds. Boss Luo picked up an apple and took a bite. Not to mention, it was quite sweet and powdery. Master, did anything special happen? Yu Yi, who just came back, asked casually. There should be. Boss Luo smiled slightly. They seemed to want to hold a competition to determine the members of the Transcendent Association's board of directors. Competition. Miss Maid was thoughtful at this time. Generally speaking, the display of power requires more power. Boss Luo knew that Miss Maid had such an expression, and he already had an idea in his heart. What do you think? Yu Yi thought for a while and said, Generally speaking, the holder of extraordinary power can roughly judge the strength of the opponent. Whether there is a chance or not, in fact, he already knows it in his heart. Those who insist on fighting probably do so because of their face. After all, there are so many eyes watching from behind. Boss Luo nodded and immediately said, What about you? Do you plan to do something? Miss Maid smiled and said, If possible, Master, please let me do it. I think I should be able to earn back the cost of this relocation. Boss Luo said indifferently, Isn't the income of King God's world enough? Miss Maid said. A single source of income will make the economy passive and fragile. Probably because I've been more lazy recently. Boss Luo smiled casually, then picked up an apple. Then I'll leave it to you. I'll go out for a while and be back soon. Master, take care. City of Exclusion, in a community park in the Old City area. Emo Xiaofei was meeting with Zixing, the young master of the Greedy Wolf clan. Zixing took the initiative to meet him. The location was in this park in the community where Emo Xiaofei lived. You want me to represent your Greedy Wolf clan? Emo Xiaofei frowned. Purple Star's visit had already surprised Emo Xiaofei. As for her direct approach, it made Emo Xiaofei feel a little overwhelmed. I hope Lord Emo can agree. The Purple Star young master pleaded and even lowered his head. The Greedy Wolf clan warriors behind Purple Star also bowed respectfully at this time. Feeling the pressure, Emo Xiaofei opened his mouth and said helplessly, "Can't we talk nicely? I'm not an adult." You are the Dragon Monarch's personal disciple. The Purple Star young master said seriously. Although my identity has not been disclosed to the public, since I know I should not be rude to Sir Emo. Emo Xiaofei heaved a sigh of relief. Look at you. You're young and you're good in every aspect. But you're not so good in this aspect. You're inflexible and stubborn. Purple Star will remember Sir Mo's criticism. Emo Xiaofei had to shake his head. He immediately took a deep breath and said, I'm sorry, Purple Star. I may not be able to help your Greedy Wolf clan this time. Purple Star did not seem to be too surprised. She just asked calmly, Is it because of Master Dragon Monarch? Has she given you an order? No. Emo Xiaofei shook his head. I haven't seen my master these days. She didn't say anything to me. It's just that I don't think it's good for me to fight for you. Purple Star, you see, in this power conference, my master will most likely appear to suppress the small fries. Since my master has already appeared, do you think it's appropriate for me, her disciple, to go up? If Master Dragon Monarch agrees, will Sir Emo still refuse? Purple Star asked abruptly. Emo Xiaofei was startled. He thought for a while and said, I know my master's character. She probably won't agree. I'm sorry, Purple Star. It's okay. Purple Star shook her head. Sir Emo has his own concerns. It's just that, whether Sir Emo agrees or refuses, as the young master of the Greedy Wolf clan, Purple Star has to give it a try. Then, I'm sorry to disturb you, Sir Emo. The young master of the Greedy Wolf clan came quickly and left quite simply. Looking at this little figure gradually leaving, Emo Xiaofei felt a little sorry. He accompanied Windchaser to the highlands and went deep into the Greedy Wolf clan. He also found out that the witch of the Greedy Wolf clan was chosen like this. She was bearing a heavy burden that she shouldn't have at her age. However, Emo Xiaofei knew that he needed to be clear about his position. As the disciple of Kelowna Shinryu, his sensitive identity was like agreeing to fight for the Greedy Wolf clan. It would probably bring a lot of unnecessary trouble to his master, right? He was keen on helping people, but after gradually maturing, he understood that he could not help people like this. At this moment, Emo Xiaofei's phone suddenly rang. He looked down and was a little surprised. Zhuifeng? Why are you calling me? Brother. I sneaked out. I'm at the airport now. I'll be back in the evening. Why didn't you stay in the temple to inherit? Why did you run out? To fight. Such a big thing happened, how can I stay out of it? Let's not talk about it first. I'll sneak into the luggage compartment first. Emo Xiaofei suddenly opened his mouth. He was thousands of miles away, so he naturally could not stop Zhuifeng's action at this time. Besides, Zhuifeng, this child, was excited at this moment. He probably would not listen to persuasion. Hey you be careful. Don't be found out. I know. Brother, I won't talk about it anymore. See you later. Love you so much. Also, don't tell Purple Star that I sneaked out. Emo Xiaofei looked at the direction outside the city with a headache. A corner of the mudstone mountain outside the city had been hollowed out to pave the stage for tomorrow's power conference. Don't mess up. Emo Xiaofei couldn't help but murmur. He looked at the screen of the phone silently. All the calls to Long Shirua these days flew to the voicemail. He didn't know what his master was doing these days. She must be busy with Kelowna and the complicated situation in the wrong world. Needless to say, Kelowna's identity as Shinryu had always been so great in Emo Xiaofei's heart. Emo Xiaofei couldn't help but clench his fist and think, as a disciple, I shouldn't trouble my master at this time. There was not even the slightest change in space. But there was an extra figure in the living room. Luochio's figure. In a flash, he had already come to the old house where he used to live. He wasn't in a hurry to do anything. He just casually looked at the things in this house. On the dining table and the coffee table, there were still some disposable tableware that hadn't been cleaned up yet. Boss Luo shook his head and immediately cleaned up the garbage. He didn't use any convenient ability but just did these trivial things by himself. In fact, he hadn't come back to this place for a long time. The more memories a place was, the easier it seemed to be to forget. There was such a place, which was obviously very close and just beside him. He only needed to spend some time to visit it, but the things were cleaned up quickly. He didn't deliberately hide his movements. Everything seemed casual and ordinary. Not long after, Luochio opened the door of his room. The room was actually clean, but the bed was a little messy at this time. For example, the quilt was rolled up like dried vegetables, and the pillow was wrinkled and placed in the middle of the bed, and there were also some things that were obviously women's clothes and the like. Of course, there was also the sound of heartbeat and breathing. It was very light, but in Boss Luo's ears, it was so clear and nervous. He glanced at it, then reached for the door of the wardrobe and slowly opened it. In the wardrobe, there was a figure who used some clothes to cover her head, as if she was afraid of being discovered. In fact, she had already been discovered. What are you doing here? Boss Luo asked softly. She used the clothes to cover her head, and her trembling figure suddenly stopped. She flipped the clothes off her head and widened her eyes. Boss. In the wardrobe, the little butterfly monster had a trace of surprise and fright. There was another piece of clothing hanging on her shoulder, and it was the kind of close-fitting clothing that wasn't worn outside. Boss Luo now stretched out his hand and took it down from the shoulder of the little butterfly monster and said casually, "Come out, don't you feel bored?" Luo Dance gave a start and then stuttered, But Sister Long said, "First of all, no matter what Miss Long said before this is actually my room." Boss Luo said casually, "Come again, you should be able to distinguish whether you want to continue or not, right?" Heh heh heh. Luo Dance laughed foolishly, and then climbed out of the wardrobe. After coming out, the little butterfly monster didn't dare to speak, and quickly tidied up the messy wardrobe, so nimble, as if it was done in the blink of an eye. Finally, probably because it was convenient, Luo Dance took the clothes in Boss Luo's hand and folded them, but soon, she reacted. Like a child who had done something wrong, she suddenly let out a soft cry. She only felt that the last piece of clothing in her hand was burning hot. She wanted to put it down, but she didn't dare to. In the end, she steeled her heart and put the folded clothing into the wardrobe. Then, she took a deep breath and closed the wardrobe. I didn't mean it." She lowered her head and said. Boss Luo glanced at her. His expressionless eyes suddenly softened and even chuckled. "The room is very clean. I haven't cleaned this room for a long time, thank you." "You're welcome." The little butterfly monster suddenly raised her head. At this time, Boss Luo threw an apple to her. "You haven't had lunch, right? Can you eat fruits?" She caught it with both hands and held it in front of her chest. She nodded gently. "Now I can eat fruits and some ordinary food, but I can't eat food with too much oil and salt. Eating too much will make my stomach uncomfortable." "Come out," Boss Luo said indifferently, Don't always stay here, and tidy up the things on the bed." With that, Boss Luo walked straight out of the room that originally belonged to him. Luo Dance subconsciously looked at the bed. The messy style was right, it was Sister Long's style. It didn't take long for her to come out of the room, but she lowered her head and looked a little cautious. At this time, Boss Luo was looking for something in the cabinet in the living room. She couldn't help but ask curiously, "Boss, what are you looking for?" Boss Luo answered casually, "I remember there should be some honey here, which was sent by the neighbors when I lived here before. Well, I found it." That was the most common glass jar in the house. The honey had turned dark brown, and there was a thick layer of frost at the bottom. Boss Luo opened the lid. The person who sent it said it was authentic wild honey. "You should be able to distinguish it. It smells so good." The little butterfly monster answered subconsciously. Boss Luo directly put the jar in front of her. "Often?" Luo Dance pursed her lips and then gently nodded. She directly dipped her finger into the honey, and then put it into her mouth, sucking slowly. In an instant, an intoxicated expression bloomed on the face of the butterfly monster like a flower. "It's the taste of happiness." The little butterfly monster squinted her eyes and enjoyed it. "Do you like it?" "Yes." "Then I'll give it to you," Boss Luo said directly. "Take it as a reward for cleaning this house. If I'm not wrong, you may do similar things several times in the future." Luo Dance suddenly showed a stunned expression. Boss Luo smiled slightly. "I'm talking about Miss Long." The little butterfly monster had to show an embarrassed smile. Sure enough, nothing could be hidden from the boss. He actually knew everything. "Boss, can I ask you something?" Luo Dance suddenly asked. "What's the matter?" Luo Dance thought for a while and asked seriously, "Boss, do you like Sister Long?" Boss Luo couldn't help but ask curiously at this time, "Why do you ask this question?" Luo Dance thought for a while and said, "Because I recently saw Sister Long calling your name when she was sleeping. I heard that if a person calls another person's name even in his dreams, it means that he or she either likes or hates that person. I know Sister Long, she never takes the initiative to hate someone, although her mouth is very mean, but what kind of answer do you want to hear from me?" Boss Luo asked like this. Luo Dance opened her mouth, but suddenly lowered her head. I seem to have asked something that I shouldn't have asked. If I say that I like Miss Long because I like her soul very much, and even want to take her soul away," Luochu whispered at this time, "then, will you hate me?" She looked up at him subconsciously, and her eyes had become panicked. She was in a daze, and tears fell down silently. She tried hard to wipe them, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't wipe them away, and the more tears she shed, the more tears she shed. "I don't know," she sobbed. I don't know how to hate you, boss." "What's wrong with me?" "You seem to have forgotten one thing." Boss Luo said like this, "As long as the customer doesn't take the initiative, we can't take away the customer's soul. I like it very much, but as the boss of this shop, I'm not so incompetent that I have to take the soul to survive." "No, boss. Boss, you will survive." Luo Dance blurted out, "You will." Boss Luo laughed and shook his head. "Aren't you hungry?" "Hungry. ######PS1. Thank you, Boss Wudong, for Yuye's cuteness. Kneel down to welcome the capitalist boss. PS2. I seem to my body is gradually turning into the shape of a wudong? Lie down. PS3. 0 to 1, as usual. Chapter 1991. Little Butterfly Monster was the type that could be easily satisfied. A ray of sunshine in the morning, a stray cat that had not been seen for a few days came back, or a sparrow on a telephone pole. Those things that often slipped away without paying attention in life were always able to show a glass-like brilliance in her eyes. If you have no choice but to take away Sister Long's soul, I will do business with you. As long as I can buy Sister Long's soul back. Let's not talk about whether she could afford it or not. Boss Luo asked curiously at this time. Why do you think that I did it because I had no other choice, and not because I might have planned to do it? Luo Dance gave a start, saying subconsciously, Isn't that the case? Boss Luo looked at her. She thought so without any doubt. Yes, she always thought so. This was probably the reason why he liked Luo Dance from the bottom of his heart every time he saw her. It was a very pure liking, just like those who liked white, those who liked to sit on the bus and watch the scenery of the city liked to take the bus at sunset. Miss Dance, you have a special quality that can make people unconsciously forget their troubles. Boss Luo smiled. It's a very rare special quality. Is it? Your smile can make people feel relaxed. Boss Luo reached out but didn't touch her lips. It can also wash away people's fatigue. It's a very precious thing. The little butterfly monster blinked and said hesitantly, Boss, do you like my soul too? Like how you like Sister Long? He said frankly, more or less. Little butterfly monster was not surprised but anxious. Oh no. I'm in trouble. If you want to take away my soul, then no one will be able to buy it for me. Sister Long will definitely not buy it. She scolded me every day recently and even wanted to drive me to the 18th Bureau to be the director. 18th Bureau? It's the place that Sister Long uses to deal with the agents who offend her. Little butterfly monster said seriously. It's the department responsible for cleaning toilets. For some reason, Boss Luo covered his mouth and smiled. It wasn't the slight smile that hung on his lips out of habit, but the kind of smile that ordinary people couldn't help but laugh at. I'm telling the truth, the butterfly demon said with a frightened expression. I also believe that what you said is true. Boss Luo exhaled slowly and put away the normal expression on his face. I also believe that Miss Long would do such a thing. Sometimes, Miss Long's personality is indeed a little bad. Yes. He didn't even bathe or wash his hair all day. You stay in your room and play games all day long. The little butterfly monster began to criticize. You don't even know how to change your clothes for days. If I wanted to take your soul, the first person to rush over would also be her. Luoqiu quietly listened to her scolding. It was a terrible thing that one wouldn't know if they weren't really familiar with a person. Then, use your smile in exchange, Luoqiu suddenly said softly. Luo Dance couldn't help being stunned. My smile? From now on, your smile only belongs to me. Boss Luo nodded slightly. For this, I promise that I won't take your soul away in the future, and no one will take your soul away. Even, no matter what kind of deal you will make with me in the future, I'll exclude your soul from the options and replace it with something else. How about that? But I'll also smile to others, won't I? Luo Dance said subconsciously and then said with distress, Then I'll try hard. If others make me smile, I'll hold it back. But what if I can't hold it back? If the owner of the shop really wanted to take away a person's smile, then that person would naturally not have a smile from now on. Boss Luo said softly, As long as you're happy every time you see me, I won't forbid you from doing other things. As long as you share some of your happiness with me every time you see me, it will be fine. That's it? The butterfly demon was pleasantly surprised. It's very simple. No problem. This was not a simple thing. Perhaps only for you it was simple, that you could do it. Have you thought it through? Boss Luo said softly, If so, it's settled. I'm ready. The butterfly demon took a deep breath at this time, and then solemnly stretched out her palm. What are you ready for? Boss Luo asked curiously. Luo Dance blinked her eyes. To sign a contract? Isn't it always like this? Boss, you also signed a contract when you helped me break out of the cocoon last time, right? No need this time. Boss Luo smiled again, and then said mysteriously, This is a private agreement, a secret agreement between you and me. Just take it as I'm doing this behind the shop's back, so you can't let others know, understand? I won't tell anyone. Luo Dance immediately covered her mouth, and said with a whimper, Even if Sister Long throws me to the 18th bureau, I won't tell anyone. Looking at her nervous appearance at this time, Boss Luo suddenly opened his hand, and a key appeared in his palm. If you have time, help me look after this house. I won't come here recently. It'll be more convenient for you to go in and out. She subconsciously took the key. Boss, don't worry, I'll come here often. Boss? There was no one in front of her. Luo Dance held the key and stood there for a long time. Then she found a string and put the key on, hanging it around her neck and keeping it close to her body. I'll let Sister Long smile at the boss more often. The butterfly demon had a flash of inspiration at this time. Witty. When Boss Luo came back, there were some dishes on the table, and the servant girl was holding a dessert in her hand. The timing seemed to be very accurate. Master, you seem to have encountered something happy. She easily noticed the smile at the corner of his mouth. Did you meet Miss Dance? Psyche. Boss Luo suddenly said. The servant girl was stunned and thought for a while. Psyche, the goddess of soul in the Roman pantheon? Boss Luo said casually. It's said that in the hearts of ancient Romans, when a person dies, his soul will fly away from his lips and turn into the shape of a butterfly, and this butterfly's name is Psyche. The servant girl smiled slightly. I only know that Psyche was later given immortality and eternal life by Zeus. Eternal smile. Boss Luo muttered to himself. Every time a smile flies out from the lips, it's a pleasant soul ode. Isn't it good? Very good. The servant girl had no objection, and her mood became happier with the smile of the boss. Administration Temporary Command Center, Advisor's Office. The list of those who intend to participate in tomorrow's Power Conference has been listed, and basically all of them have signed up. There are no accidents. The rest of the delegations who haven't signed up will probably not be considered. Their level is also there, and they know in their hearts. Power Conference? Fire Cloud Evil God frowned subconsciously. It's called that outside, so. Is there a problem? No. Fire Cloud Evil God couldn't help but shake his head. The name in his mind was actually the First World Martial Arts Conference. At this time, in addition to Fire Cloud Evil God, there were several subordinates in the office. As for Tu Kai, he sat silently in the corner, wiping the silver spear in his hand. Looking at the freshly made list in his hand, Fire Cloud Evil God nodded. Then we'll follow this list. Advisor, what's the matter? Isn't it a bit too rash to suddenly hold this power conference this time? The subordinate said worriedly, plus, it has only been 2 days since Gong Sun Shiyu's attack. There are still remnants of him outside. If we hold this competition outside the city of Forbidden like this, what if we give the enemy a chance to take advantage of us? What, you think that with all the top transcendents in the world here, we'll still give the enemy an opportunity? Fire Cloud Evil God snorted coldly. The city of exclusion is the city of exclusion. Outside of the city of exclusion, it's another matter. That's right, as long as we can use transcendence. The subordinate nodded, originally wanting to say that the advisor was fearless, but on second thought, he thought of the terrifying 10 minutes in black, and directly swallowed his words back into his stomach. 10 minutes in black had become a taboo topic in the transcendence world. As if it had never happened, everyone had a tacit understanding not to take the initiative to mention it, as if that mysterious god had never appeared at all. The transcendents were trying their best to protect that shred of pitiful self-esteem that had already been shattered. Probably, as long as I forget fast enough, I won't remember it. On Yen Xiaoxi's side, any new discoveries? Fire Cloud Evil God asked. The search team sent by the capital has already started a carpet search at the accident site, the subordinate quickly replied. But they haven't found any traces of Section Chief Yen. As for Jiang Zhuo, he has been sent back to the headquarters, and under Madame Tao's treatment, his injuries have already recovered, but he hasn't woken up yet. Madame Tao said that Jiang Zhuo's spirit has been greatly damaged. Madame Tao can't do anything about it, she can only wait for him to wake up on his own. Even if it's a healing ability that can almost bring the dead back to life, it doesn't seem to be omnipotent. Fire Cloud Evil God shook his head. Alright, you all can leave first. As for Xiaoxi's matter, inform me immediately if there are any new developments. Okay. After his subordinates left, Tu Kai suddenly looked over at him. Master, for tomorrow's competition, I want to fight. Why? I need to fight to improve myself, Tu Kai said directly. You said that I'm the strongest among the younger generation, but when I met Gong Sun Shiyu, I realized that you've been lying to me all this time. When I said that, it was more than 10 years ago, okay? Fire Cloud Evil God said angrily. I don't care. I want to fight. Tu Kai stabbed his spear into the ground. You only fight when I can't win. Tu Kai, you've learned bad things. Fire Cloud Evil God couldn't help but sigh. I'm afraid tomorrow's competition won't be as simple as you think. This competition is for the right to speak in the future Transcendent Association, and it won't just be the people on the list who came to participate in this meeting. Master, what do you mean? Let's not talk about other things. Do you think the Magician Association only has 2 Tower Masters? Fire Cloud Evil God said slowly. The legendary number 1 in the inhuman domain, how strong is still a mystery to this day. Do you think the legendary number 1 Tower Master won't appear? There's also the church, this behemoth. How many unknown people are hidden in it? Tu Kai frowned. Shinryu? Now, it seems like that lord doesn't plan to participate. Fire Cloud Evil God shook his head. Or rather, if no one forced her, there's a high chance that she won't even show up. Besides, even if Shinryu joins the competition, it's meaningless. Something like the board of directors isn't allocated to a certain force, and this association won't be able to make it happen. You should know that if this Transcendent Association can't make it happen, what we'll have to face is probably a worldwide competition between Transcendents. This isn't something that anyone would like to see. Boring. Tu Kai shook his head. Fire Cloud Evil God said indifferently, this isn't a competition to be the strongest. This is just a chance for those Transcendents who already have the right to be on the board of directors to shut the mouths of the world. Alright, you don't have to worry about tomorrow's competition. Instead, I have something that I need you to do personally. What is it? I want you to make a trip to the desert and find someone. Fire Cloud Evil God said seriously, go and find this person, but don't let anyone know your whereabouts. Find who? Tu Kai couldn't help but frown. Mr. Blind, Qing Xiaozi, Fire Cloud Evil God said slowly. That's not the cotton clothes paths. Tu Kai couldn't help but be shocked. Then, as if he had thought of something, his eyes lit up. Master, are you planning to ask Qing Xiaozi to divine Junior Brother's whereabouts? That's only one of the reasons. Fire Cloud Evil God said in a deep voice. But there's something more important. When you arrive, Qing Xiaozi will tell you what to do next. Don't ask too much, just do as he says. Alright, I'll make a trip. Tu Kai nodded, then walked in front of Fire Cloud Evil God and opened his palm. What's this for? Fire Cloud Evil God couldn't help but be stunned. Travel expenses. Tu Kai said directly. If you don't give me travel expenses, how can I go? In the end, Fire Cloud Evil God reluctantly took out a bank card. Save some money? Then Xiaoxi, you'll stay here tonight by yourself. You've saved my number in your new phone, so call me if you need anything. In the evening, Auntie Ren and Lizzie safely sent Xiaoxi back to the old house. Originally, Auntie Ren had planned to stay with her for one more night, but tomorrow's power conference would be too far away if they set off from the old house. It's okay, Sister Ren, don't worry, I'll be fine by myself. Xiaoxi nodded. Auntie Ren didn't stay for too long. Xiaoxi, this child, could survive in that terrible place alone for so many years, so her ability to survive was naturally unquestionable. Goodbye, Sister Ren. Goodbye, Sister Lizzie. Goodbye. Whoosh. Finally, the two women were sent away. As soon as Xiaoxi, Kelowna Shinryu closed the door, she took off her shoes, kicked them away, took off her socks and threw them aside. Then, she collapsed on the sofa like a salted fish, staring blankly at the ceiling. Pianxian, Pianxian, have you left? If you haven't, squeak. Damn girl, have you left or not? After calling weakly for a while, there was no response. Kelowna Shinryu muttered, this girl seems to have gone back. Well, it's quiet. At this moment, the sound of the door opening suddenly came from outside. Kelowna Shinryu shuddered, thinking that Renziling and Lizzie suddenly came back. She immediately picked up the socks that flew out and ran to the entrance before the door was opened, intending to put the shoes away. She couldn't let Xiaoxi's image collapse. Otherwise, her efforts for a whole day and night would be in vain. But it seemed that she couldn't make it in time. Sister Long, what are you doing? Oh, I saw that the shoe cabinet is a little dirty, so I want to clean it. No, why are you here? Kelowna Shinryu, who squatted in front of the shoe cabinet, raised her head subconsciously, seeing that it was Luo Dance who opened the door and came in. At this moment, the little butterfly monster even carried 2 big shopping bags in her hand. I just went to buy some things, Luo Dance said as she put down the things. Then she took out the key from the door lock and hung it around her neck. Since you're going to stay here, I'm going to buy you some snacks. I'm afraid that you'll be hungry when you play games at night. And I went back to the hospital to bring some clothes for you. Oh, okay. Kelowna Shinryu nodded, then immediately widened her eyes. No? What's that hanging around your neck? The key. Of course I know it's the key. Long Shirua directly pinched Luo Dance's cheeks. I'm asking you, where did you get the key? The boss gave it to me. Damn you, you even have the key to the house. Kelowna Shinryu roared like a dragon at this time. You lied to me that you just passed by downstairs? Let's break up. You're doomed. I don't know you, Zhongshan Butterfly, who is full of lies. It's not like that, Sister Long, listen to me. I don't want to listen. Xiaoxi shouted at this time, come on. Shinryu's secret skill. Real 48 hands of the dragon. Again? Luo Dance exclaimed at this time, and then instantly softened, a hashtag PS. 1/1. Chapter 1992. What I said is true. If you don't believe me, you can ask the boss next time you see him. Little butterfly monster tidied up her clothes with grievance. Her gaze made Xiaoxi feel as if she had just done a heinous thing. It's just Dragon Claw, it's not like I haven't used it before. I know what I'm doing, okay? So Shinryu of Kelowna pretended nothing had happened. She coughed twice and said directly, did the profiteer leave the key to you? Did he say anything else? She couldn't talk about the agreement with the boss. Luo Dance thought for a while and said, nothing, we just chatted casually. Really? Shinryu of Kelowna glanced at her suspiciously. She couldn't understand what Luo Dance was talking about. After pondering for a while, she frowned. Didn't he mention me? Yes. What did he say? Shinryu of Kelowna immediately snorted. Needless to say, he didn't say anything good about me. Humph. Nothing. Luo Dance thought for a while and said, but Sister Long, you can smile more when you see the boss in the future. Smile? Long Shirua was stunned subconsciously. The little butterfly demon said seriously, that's right. Sister Long, you always keep a straight face every time you see the boss. You can't do that. If it were someone else, they wouldn't be able to like someone who keeps a straight face all day. You wouldn't be able to like someone either. Bah, who wants him to like me? Xiaoxi snorted. I'm just like this. Don't look at me if you don't like me. Little butterfly monster sighed. Well, Sister Long, I'm going back to the hospital. Are you staying here tonight? Go. Xiaoxi hurriedly waved her hand to drive her away. I won't go back these days. You don't have to come up. Call me if you need anything. Then I'm going back. Kelowna's Shinryu didn't see him out. He sat on the sofa for a while before shaking his head and walking into the bathroom with his clothes. Smile? Looking at herself in the mirror, she couldn't help but frown. Then, she suddenly stretched out 2 fingers and forced her lips into an arc. Seemingly dissatisfied, she frowned and changed to using 2 fingers of her right hand to lift the 2 corners of her mouth. TSK. She finally rolled her eyes at herself. Boring. Ever since the morning summit meeting was suddenly suspended and the news of the Power Conference being held was released, many transcendent organizations had chosen to leave the Forbidden City. The reason was the same. Most of the transcendent delegates had been in the City of Exclusion for quite some time. The shortest was 3 to 5 days, while the longest was 8 to 10 days. During this period, they would not be able to use their supernatural powers at all, but with the Power Conference suddenly being held, they needed to activate their powers and recover their sense of touch. Damn it! We were the ones who came to this place first, so why should we be asked to leave? There's an abandoned quarry next door. It's very empty. You can go there. That place is not conducive to our battle strategy. It's an ownerless place. Let the capable ones live there. Do you want to fight? Come on. Let's fight. It's a good opportunity to practice. Bang, 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 bang. In the suburbs there would occasionally be loud noises, and then the earth would shake slightly. Of course, it wasn't too out of the ordinary. The chosen place was also a sparsely populated suburb. Of course, such incidents were relatively rare. Most people tacitly chose to stay away from each other. At this moment, there was a group that was following the river of the City of Abstinence all the way to a flat beach. Let's do it here. The water vapor is more beneficial to us. Let's try to collect more water energy before tomorrow. This was a team that came from a small country in the far north. They worshipped the elemental powers of nature, earth, fire, water, and wind, and this time, the team that represented them were all envoys that used the power of water. They also planned to participate in the Power Conference tomorrow. Even though they knew that the results would not be good if they did not participate in the competition, when the World Extraordinary Association was established in the future, the extraordinary in this country would only be a small part of the extraordinary society. And there seems to be someone there. At this moment, one of the envoys looked at the forest beside the beach. He could vaguely feel that there seemed to be a black shadow in the forest. Let's go and take a look. It might be another team, the leader said with a solemn expression. After that, this team of envoys carefully approached the place where the black shadow was found under the leadership of the leader. The moment they stepped into the forest, the team of envoys instantly felt as if they had stepped into a fairy tale forest where a terrifying witch was hidden. Their surroundings had become much darker, and the sound had been cut off to the point where it was almost inaudible. They could even hear each other's heartbeats clearly. The tense atmosphere wrapped around everyone's hearts. The leader knew that something was wrong. At this moment, he took out a fist-sized crystal ball and held it tightly. The crystal ball released a blue light at this moment. At the same time, traces of water vapor began to quickly wrap around the leader. In the blink of an eye, it gathered into flowing water. At this moment, in the depths of the forest, a flame suddenly appeared. Pretending to be mysterious. The leader snorted and directly commanded the water around him to turn into a huge anaconda and pounced forward. However, the moment this huge anaconda pounced on the flame, it directly dispersed into the original water vapor and disappeared in an instant. The leader knew that something was wrong. But at this moment, his companion exclaimed, "There's someone here." There was indeed someone here. At this moment, the leader also saw clearly that in the depths of the forest, there was a guy wearing a black robe. Moreover, this black-robed person was even sitting down in the depths of the dark forest. There was a mysterious guy wearing a black robe and a black hat that covered most of her face. Only through her chin and lips could one see that she seemed to be a female. She just sat here and placed a long table covered with a black tablecloth. There were 2 three-pronged candlesticks on the left and right sides of the table. She was like a fortune-teller in a fortune-telling house, mysterious. Who are you? The leader asked directly at this time, and even prepared to attack again. I'm someone who's here to help you. The black-robed person spoke slowly. It was a pleasant female voice. Just from the voice alone, she didn't look old. Help us! The leader couldn't help but frown. At this moment, the black-robed person smiled slightly and said, Don't you want to stand out in the power conference tomorrow? Let the world remember you and remember your belief. At this moment, the leader's heart couldn't help but beat wildly. In the depths of the forest, the female black-robed person's voice seemed to have a special magic, which made people want to continue listening. What can you help me with? At this moment, the female black-robed person wiped the table covered with a black cloth. In an instant, 5 crystal-clear bottles appeared on the table, as if they were corresponding to the 5 people of this small team. In the crystal bottles, there was some glittering liquid like the starry sky. This potion, I named it God's Tear. The female black-robed person smiled and said, It has the effect of allowing people to exert 3 times their own strength for 15 minutes. It can be stacked up to 3 times, and there are no side effects. What did you say? Stacking? The leader opened his mouth and said subconsciously, Are you sure it's stacking, not stacking? And there are no side effects? How is that possible? It's stacking. The female black-robed person said indifferently. 3 by 3 by 3. 27 times. The leader suddenly sneered and said coldly, Although we haven't figured out who you are and what your purpose is, but we look like we're easy to tease? Wait, this Mark, is it? A messenger behind the leader suddenly exclaimed at this moment. Ignoring the leader's surprise, he walked directly to the black cloth table and excitedly picked up one of the bottles to observe it carefully. That's right. It must be right. This is the inherent beauty of the pansy. Are you the master of the pansy? Pansy? The leader was stunned at first, and then he said in disbelief, One of the only 3 legendary pharmacists in the world recognized by the Magician Association. Which? The female black-robed person didn't respond. She just sat quietly. Wait, it's just a mark. The leader of the small team shook his head at this moment. It's not believable. Besides, it's very easy to forge a mark. It's not easy at all. It's even impossible. Unexpectedly, the team member holding the crystal bottle said excitedly, You don't know the origin of the pansy flower mark, so you don't know that this mark can't be forged. Can't be forged? The team member said seriously, Legend has it that the legendary witch refined a mysterious secret medicine that can prevent anyone from using the pansy flower mark by any means, and it can strip this mark from the mind of any forger. At first, no one believed this, but later, hundreds and thousands of pharmacists used their own experiences to verify this matter. No matter who it was, no one could engrave the pansy flower on the secret medicine bottle. Even if it was forcibly engraved, the bottle would directly explode. Therefore, the secret medicine of the pansy can be sold at a sky-high price in the black market. It's not only because of the effect of the secret medicine, but more importantly, its unique collection value. Therefore, even if this person isn't the real master of the pansy, these bottles of secret medicine must be made by the master of the pansy. This team member was very excited at this moment. His lips were trembling. However, the team leader's frown deepened. There was even a trace of greed in his heart. However, this mysterious encounter quickly woke him up. Although the anaconda he summoned wasn't a unique skill, it wasn't a weak skill either. However, it was easily dispersed. The opponent's ability was probably not weak. The team leader took a deep breath and threw away the trace of greed in his mind, slowly saying, There's no free lunch in the world. Since you took out such a precious secret medicine, I'm afraid it's not just to help, right? A bottle of medicine, 30 years of life, the female black-robed person said indifferently. If you want it, take it away. 30 years of life? The team leader and everyone else couldn't help but be startled at this moment. The knowledgeable team member thought for a while and said, "It's said that the master of the pansies' whereabouts are uncertain, and his requirements for refining secret medicine have always been strange. There is indeed a saying that he has to pay with his life. However, I've always been curious. Even if someone is willing to pay with his life to get the secret medicine, how can he take away the life, and how accurate can he be?" The female black-robed person said indifferently, "If you can understand it, then the person sitting here may be you. How to take it away is my business. Whether to buy it or not is your business. You only have 3 minutes to think about it. After 3 minutes, I'll leave and find other buyers. I don't have to buy it for you. It's just that I'm passing by here and I'm too lazy to find other buyers." The knowledgeable team member didn't speak at all. However, the team leader sneered at this moment. "Even if this is the legendary secret medicine of the pansy, or even if you're the master of the pansy, it's fine. However, we don't know whether this so-called secret medicine has the real effect as you said. Your Excellency, this isn't the price, right? There are 2 minutes, 40 seconds left." The female black-robed person suddenly took out a pocket watch and looked at it. Everyone frowned at once. However, time passed little by little, and no one spoke. 3 minutes passed quickly. The female black-robed person didn't say anything at this time. She just waved her hand and took back 5 bottles of the secret medicine, including the bottle held by the knowledgeable team member. "Only 3 minutes. She'll leave after the time is up?" Seeing the black cloth table turn into black mist and gradually dissipate, and the figure of the black-robed woman gradually faded away, the team leader suddenly gritted his teeth and blurted out, "Wait a minute." The figure instantly solidified, and the female black-robed person said indifferently, "Do you want to buy it?" "I want to test it." The team leader gritted his teeth and said, "If the goods match, we'll buy all of them." If these 5 bottles of Tear of God were really like what they said, and could increase one's strength by 3 times, and he could use 3 bottles at most, and the stacking effect didn't even have any side effects. Even if he didn't use it in the strength competition, it would still be a godly item to save his life. "Okay." The female black-robed person said indifferently, "You can test it after paying the price of the first bottle of God's tears. I mean, I'll test it first. If it's true, I'll buy it. Goodbye." The figure of the female black-robed person faded away again. Wait a minute. Wait a minute." The knowledgeable team member hurriedly shouted, "I'll buy it. I'll buy it." The figure of the female black-robed person that was about to disappear instantly reappeared, and at the same time, a bottle emitting azure light directly appeared in front of the knowledgeable team member. But at the same time, the body of this knowledgeable team member instantly aged. He originally looked like he was in his 20s or 30s, but now, he looked like a middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s, with wrinkles on his face. The moment the bottle of secret medicine entered his hand, the female black-robed person also disappeared. This time, she really disappeared. Everyone was shocked, and the team leader even said in horror, "You're crazy." "I'm not crazy. You really don't know the value of the secret medicine of pansy." The knowledgeable team member held the bottle tightly. No matter what kind of medicine it is, it can be sold in the black market for enough wealth to make up for the loss of 30 years of life. It's not a loss. The team leader didn't feel good. If it weren't for the fact that this team member was his trusted subordinate who had followed him for many years, F***ck, he would have thought that this team member was an accomplice. Damn it, did she really take away 30 years of your life? The team leader pulled the team member over at this time and sized him up from head to toe. At this time, this trusted team member suddenly gritted his teeth and opened the bottle of secret medicine. Then, he carefully wiped the medicine on his fingertip, just a little wet, and directly put it into his mouth. How is it?" Everyone watched nervously. In an instant, A terrifying water power directly erupted from this team member's body. This explosive power directly surpassed that of the team leader. At this time, a huge water dragon condensed behind this team member. Everyone gradually felt the huge pressure of this huge water dragon. However, this huge water dragon, just as it formed, completely disappeared in the next moment. This knowledgeable team member's powerful fluctuation of power also rapidly decreased. "It's true!" The team leader suddenly shivered and screamed, "Go and find her! She should still be nearby. We must hurry and get all of them before others buy them." End of this chapter. Chapter 1993. The situation was like this. In a large area of the suburbs, all the transcendent delegations seemed to have quietened down. They seemed to be looking for something. But if you asked them what they were looking for, they would usually give some nonsensical reasons. For example, something like they had lost their godly item, the rubber ring, or the dragon had stolen their home and they had to move their base. Some even said that it was because the mobile phone signal was too bad, and that the brand of the mobile phone was a piece of trash. Some even said something like, "I'm here to take a video. Alright, as long as it doesn't cause any particularly troublesome trouble." The Shenzhou Administration Bureau, which is monitoring outside, simply won't look for trouble. This strange phenomenon lasted until the evening before it gradually disappeared. Those transcendent delegations seemed to have returned to their original place of hunting. It was just that such a move would inevitably result in a clash between the two parties. At this time, a small team from the Native Americans met with a group of Black Uncle Wizard. But nothing unpleasant happened. Not only did they greet each other cordially, they even added each other as friends. I'll let you guys be proud for a while. Don't let me see you guys tomorrow, or I'll make you kneel down and call me Daddy. These 3 bottles of Tear of God are enough for us to reach the top. I'll let you guys be proud for a while. Don't let me see you guys tomorrow, or I'll make you kneel down and call me Daddy. With these bottles of Tear of God. Smiling proudly, the small team from the Native Americans and the Black Uncle Wizards reluctantly said goodbye to each other. Do your best tomorrow. Friendship first, competition second. You guys too. I'm also looking forward to the scenery of the prairie. Do your best. Hug. Pooh. Damn it, we can't find it anywhere. No, we must find it before tomorrow. There seemed to be a team of water messengers. Even in the evening, they were still wandering around the temporary base of various transcendent organizations in the suburbs. They didn't take the initiative to approach and only observed from afar. Their actions were very suspicious and even attracted the hostility of many teams. Everyone was preparing in full swing. Boss Luo took a nap. When Miss Maid came back from harvesting a batch of chives, he just woke up. Then, he received the notification that the money had been transferred. Alters received, 8820 years. So many. Boss Luo curiously looked at the servant girl who acted as if nothing had happened. How did you do it? In fact, because they were all high-quality life years, after deducting the cost of moving, there should still be a lot of life years left. It's almost dinner time. I have to prepare dinner for the master. Otherwise, it should be more than 10,000 yuan. The servant girl smiled and said, "But it's enough." Boss Luo couldn't help but ask curiously, "This God's Tear seems similar to the God's Tear from the Michael Club? It's the complete version of Heaven's Tears." Miss Maid said, "The formula of the secret medicine was sold at that time. Because of the price, some important raw materials were cut and simplified." Boss Luo nodded. After thinking for a while, he said, "Oh, God's Tear, is it really the Tear of God? How can it be?" Miss Maid shook her head and said, "God's Tear is one of the top materials in the field of alchemy and secret medicine. The effect of a single drop of God's Tear is many times more powerful than a bottle of God's Tear. The raw material of God's Tear is mainly the tears of angels." Angels' tear? Boss Luo couldn't help but blink. He asked curiously, Where did you get so many tears of angels? You didn't use anything to exchange for items. Miss Maid smiled and said, I collected some in the past. It's about a few cubic meters. A few cubic meters? Boss Luo remembered that Miss Maid's predecessor was the existence of the heavens' holy angel. She even had a holy angel legion that was responsible for the exploration of the subdimension void world. Could it be? So, some of Miss Maid's personality was actually brought with her. She didn't develop it after becoming a maid of the shop? Boss Luo gave up the idea of digging deeper and started to prepare dinner with Miss Maid. Well, if everyone used the power of the God's tier, the result would be the same as if they didn't use it. When cutting vegetables, Boss Luo suddenly thought of such a false proposition. So, Miss Maid sacrificed nearly 9,000 years of life for nothing, but the result would be the same? Yi. Master, what's the matter? How about I transfer this shop to you, and then I'll become a useless black soul? Miss Maid couldn't help opening her mouth slightly, showing a stunned look. Looking at Miss Maid's dumbfounded look, Boss Luo chuckled and scratched her nose, saying, I'm kidding. He still hadn't found a way to transfer the shop. He couldn't make the transfer contract of the former owner. Boss Luo sometimes even had a sudden idea that the transfer contract might not be made by the former owner himself. Maybe it was an agreement made with someone else. Of course, it was just a sudden idea. It's menstruation. It was Lizzie's voice. Auntie Ren and Lizzie just came back. Is there anything to eat? Without saying anything, Lizzie rushed into the kitchen, grabbed a cucumber and bit it off in front of Boss Luo. There will be food soon, you can have a rest first. The servant girl raised the spatula and said with a smile, Today, I want to challenge the Sichuan cuisine. Really? Lizzie's eyes suddenly lit up. At this time, Auntie Rin suddenly called Boss Luo. Come here, I have something to discuss with you. Balcony. Auntie Rin opened her mouth to say something, but she couldn't seem to say anything. What's the matter? Boss Luo asked patiently. At this time, Auntie Rin suddenly came over, grabbed Boss Luo's arm, and said in a sweet voice, Son, have you ever felt lonely in your life? Boss Luo directly asked her to speak human language. Auntie Rin suddenly rolled her eyes and reached out to pat Boss Luo's head, but she was reluctant to use force. She just patted lightly and said in a bad mood, I mean, when you were young, have you ever thought about having a brother or sister? No. Boss Luo directly said. Auntie Ren was startled and immediately frowned. She thought for a while and said, Then, let's say, when you were young, your dead father and your biological mother suddenly told you that they wanted a second child, what would you think? That is, would you resist having a younger brother or sister? Speak human language, Boss Luo said again. How can you be like this? You don't cooperate at all. Auntie Rin was furious, but she still couldn't withstand Boss Luo's stern gaze. She felt that she was at the bottom of the food chain in this family. She stuttered, I recently suddenly had an idea to raise a child. It's a little girl, about 13 or 14 years old. She's very obedient and has a pitiful body. Raise a child? Boss Luo asked knowingly. Ren Xiling nodded, then thought for a while and said, Actually, I've thought about it. Now that I've been promoted to a CEO, my salary has increased a lot. I don't have to run around like before, so it's a lot easier. You, on the other hand, have grown up now. You can go to school and have scholarships, so you don't have to worry too much. So if you want to raise a child, there shouldn't be any financial pressure. It's just what you think. Boss Luo didn't directly answer. He just looked at Ren Xiling's eyes, thought for a while and said, You're serious. Auntie Ren was startled, then she met Boss Luo's gaze, and finally nodded slowly. I have no objection. I'll take good care of her, I won't give you any trouble. You agree? Boss Luo smiled and nodded. Auntie Ren directly wanted to hug Boss Luo and give him a kiss, but Boss Luo covered her mouth with one hand and said indifferently, It's dirty, don't touch me. Auntie Rin was also angry at this time. I don't care. I want to hug. I must hug today. Boss Luo didn't use much strength and just pushed her away. They were in a deadlock until Miss Maid called for dinner. I'll start training tonight. When I have six-pack abs, I'll be omnipotent. At the dining table, Auntie Ren hummed and threatened. Lizzie looked at Auntie Ren's stomach that would show a small circle once she relaxed. She always felt that it was so difficult. This should be the place. Nan Xiaonan finally came to this temple according to the address given by Red Queen. It was too easy to find traces of human daily life on the internet. Red Queen had the ability to filter useful information from all kinds of information. In this way, a Red Queen might be able to easily determine who she was currently in contact with. Red Queen might not know the ultimate purpose of her contact with Mr. Jean and others, but under the analysis of big data, she wouldn't be able to find any ulterior motives. She always felt that she was completely under the surveillance of Red Queen along the way. Whether it was the electronic devices on the street, or the mobile phone lenses in the hands of passers-by, at this time, stepping into this antique temple that didn't seem to have many traces of modernity, Nan Xiaonan also felt a little safe. What was she thinking? She was still holding her mobile phone. Female benefactor, may I ask if you want to offer incense or take blessings? Can I take a short video? Female benefactor, please help yourself. Just don't go near forbidden areas. Nan Xiaonan immediately laughed awkwardly, then picked up her mobile phone from the receptionist and pretended to walk into the temple. Although this temple wasn't big, it wasn't small either. It wasn't easy to find someone here in such a short time. Although this temple was remote, it was actually in the Forbidden City. She should be in the state of an ordinary person, so naturally she was in the state of an ordinary person. Xing Chuang couldn't help her. But at this time, a location message suddenly appeared on her mobile phone. Nan Xiaonan almost didn't need to think, and she knew that this was the work of Red Queen. This guy obviously hacked into Mr. Jin's electronic devices at the same time. Although she knew Mr. Jin's location, Nan Xiaonan couldn't help but feel a little troubled at this time. She wanted to get in touch with Mr. Jin's team, but obviously, this operation was not in her original plan. She deliberately moved to a village in the city so that their daily meetings wouldn't be too abrupt, but if they could still meet in such a remote place, the traces were too obvious. Wouldn't such a coincidence make Mr. Jean suspicious? Just as Nan Xiaonan was hesitating, another message was sent to her mobile phone. She looked down and her expression became strange. Because this time, the message sent by Red Queen was the message of a token. There was even the information of the token's owner. At this time, Nan Xiaonan's mobile phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. She thought it was the Red Queen, but after picking up, she felt uncomfortable. Hello, Tuan Tuan, is this Lady Nan? I've bought the ingots, candles, and incense oil you wanted. In front of the hall, an old sorcerer was reciting scriptures. Mr. Jean was sitting on a futon with his eyes closed. He had been here for more than half a day and had been sitting here. Benefactor, this is the 5th time. Do you want to continue? The old sorcerer suddenly stopped and asked. This generous benefactor had added a lot of incense oil, but the key was that after reciting so many scriptures, all the wandering souls and ghosts had spiraled to the sky, right? The old sorcerer mainly felt thirsty, and his waist and neck were aching. At this time, Mr. Jean opened his eyes. The old sorcerer couldn't help but be startled. This benefactor's gaze was much more vicious than before. The old sorcerer didn't say anything. He directly closed his eyes and slowly recited scriptures, but this time, it was the Heart Sutra. Mr. Jean didn't say anything. He just stood up silently and slowly left the quiet hall under the sound of the Heart Sutra being recited. He looked at the sky and felt that he should leave. But when he passed by the morning hall, Mr. Jean unexpectedly saw someone who shouldn't be here. Nan Xiaonan. At this time, Nan Xiaonan was kneeling in front of a memorial tablet. She seemed to be muttering something, crying and laughing at the same time. In the end, Nan Xiaonan slowly stood up with her hands on her knees. She looked gloomy and silently left the morning hall. After Nan Xiaonan left the morning hall, Mr. Jean stuck his head out from the window. He frowned and quickly jumped into the morning hall. He came in front of a token. He looked at it. It's actually the same day. Mr. Jean opened his mouth slightly in surprise. He stood in the morning hall for a while without saying a word. A sorcerer who was in charge of the morning hall came in with cleaning tools. "Benefactor, the temple is going to be closed." Mr. Jean nodded and immediately said, "By the way, who was the woman who was praying here just now?" "Benefactor, we can't disclose the personal information of the pilgrims." The sorcerer shook his head. Mr. Jean thought for a while, then pointed at the memorial tablet in front of him and said, "This person seems to be a friend of mine. Do you know how he passed away?" "This memorial tablet should be set up not long ago. It looks very new." "This benefactor seemed to have died because of a strange car accident." The sorcerer thought for a while and said, "It seems that the car suddenly lost control and fell into a cliff. The way he died was quite miserable. A few months ago, his girlfriend came and set up this memorial tablet for him." As he said, the sorcerer bowed to Mr. Jean and then began to clean. Mr. Jean didn't say anything and silently left the morning hall. After he walked out of the temple, he saw Nan Xiaonan sitting alone at the bus stop outside the temple. She looked like she had lost her soul. Mr. Jean didn't walk over. Instead, he directly called for an online taxi, got in the car and left. From the beginning to the end, he didn't look at Nan Xiaonan again. But suddenly, he sent a message to Bernard at home, "Help me find information about this man. He just died a few months ago. Car accident." After a while, the sorcerer who was cleaning suddenly put down the broom in his hand. His eyes gradually became empty and dull. Without saying a word, he walked to the front of the memorial tablet and reached out to take down the new memorial tablet. Then, he opened the cabinet below and put the old memorial tablet back. The sorcerer was expressionless. He silently carried the brand new memorial tablet and walked back to his dormitory. Then, he locked the memorial tablet in the drawer. In fact, the dormitory in the temple was not as simple as imagined. At least, there was a well-equipped computer in the sorcerer's room. He sat in front of the computer and turned on the computer screen. He saw that the screen suddenly turned pure white. On the pure white screen, at this moment, countless patterns were crazily flashing at an extremely fast speed. Geometric shapes, symmetrical shapes, human faces, starry sky, drawings, numbers, animals, paper people. There was no trace of any pattern. The sorcerer's eyes reflected a large number of irregular pictures. He sat motionless like a puppet. Suddenly, the screen turned dark and then turned off. The sorcerer suddenly woke up. His eyes returned to normal. He looked around in confusion and finally muttered to himself in confusion, "Why did I come back?" Chapter 1994. Bernard was indeed an indispensable technical member of the team. When Mr. Jean returned to the second-hand electrical appliance store, he had already sent a detailed information. Bernard didn't ask why Mr. Jean wanted to look for this information, because Mr. Jean would take the initiative to say it. They had promised each other not to have unnecessary secrets. "Do you still suspect this female worker?" After knowing the reason, Bernard went straight to the essence of the problem. Mr. Jean just responded indifferently. He doesn't believe in such things as fate, let alone too many coincidences. But you may be disappointed. She should be the same as us. She just couldn't do anything. Bernard shook his head and said, "I confidently analyzed that this is really a coincidence. There is no problem with this information, unless someone's technology can surpass mine. But even so, it can't erase any traces of disharmony in the sea of information. That's not a field that mortals can do." Mr. Jean didn't say anything more. He was the leader of the team, but he didn't have the final say. "Don't call me for dinner, I'm not hungry." Mr. Jean went directly into his small dark room. He just turned on the small lamp on the table, then opened the information sent by Bernard and read it carefully. It was a report about the scene of the car accident. The information was detailed, even the autopsy report. There are several claw marks of different shapes on the front cover of the car. The shortest is 34 centimeters long. It is suspected to be caused by some super-large beast. In addition, there are more than 39 bite wounds on the body. The flesh is badly mutilated. The word "confidential" was written on the report. It was compared to the information reported in the conventional news. Obviously, the conventional reports didn't describe this. After a long time, Mr. Jean slowly sighed. Is she also a victim? Outside the small dark room, there were some voices. The other members of the team were gathered together for dinner. Listening to the voices of the people outside, Mr. Jean slowly opened the drawer. He took out a small bottle, poured out some pills and took them. He took off his hat, and the burning sensation on the scar on the top of his head subsided little by little. His eyes were slightly closed and blurred. In the blurred state, he seemed to smell the fragrance of flowers. In the middle of a flower bed, there was someone, a woman with a sweet smile. She sat there and used the little yellow flowers around her to weave a garland. Suddenly, the woman's smile froze. Then, her body exploded. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere, dyeing a large area of the flower bed red, as well as his entire face. At the airport, a sneaky figure was quickly jumping off the van that was transporting the passengers' luggage. Then, he tried to rush into the passenger passageway at an extremely fast speed before the passengers walked out of the cabin door. But at this moment, a mysterious force lifted this sneaky figure and pulled it into the air. Not long after, the sneaky figure was directly thrown to the roof of the departure hall. Divine ability, diamond body. The moment the sneaky figure fell, he suddenly shouted loudly. Then, he struggled with both hands, as if he had broken free from the mysterious force that lifted him up, and finally landed safely on the ground. "Big brother! You're messing with me again." A sneaky figure. Zhou Feng muttered in dissatisfaction. "I'm messing with you?" Emo Xiaofei suddenly said angrily. "I arrived here in the evening and didn't even have dinner. I just sat here and waited for you." "Big brother, you've worked hard. I'll apologize to you." Zhou Feng suddenly smiled embarrassedly, and then took out a big package from his arms. "Want some beef jerky?" Emo Xiaofei shook his head. His fingers moved slightly, and he pulled Zhou Feng directly to his front with his mind power. He knocked Zhou Feng's head directly. "Do you know you're messing around now? You left the land of inheritance without permission. If the Greedy Wolf clan knew about it, wouldn't it be chaotic? They have been waiting for so many years for you, the reincarnation of the Greedy Wolf star." Zhou Feng held his head and said pitifully, "They are waiting for the Greedy Wolf star, not me. And, as long as you don't say anything, it's too late. I've already told Zixing that you sneaked out." Emo Xiaofei interrupted directly at this time. "What?" Zhou Feng was taken aback. Then, Zhou Feng's face changed slightly, and he chose to turn around abruptly. Behind him, the Greedy Wolf young Master Zixing and 2 Wolf clan members were already walking toward him. Zhou Feng swallowed his saliva and subconsciously wanted to slip away, but the air around him instantly solidified, directly imprisoning him. Zhou Feng looked at Emo Xiaofei beside him in despair. Big Brother's mind power has always been terrifying. It seems that he has strengthened a little after not seeing him for a while. It was not that he did not have the ability to break free, but once he fought, there would be a lot of movement. Every time the Greedy Wolf star's magical power was used, it was like adding a flash effect. Seeing that Zixing and the others had come, Zhou Feng had to say, Good evening, Zixing," and you too." Zixing stared blankly at this time. After a while, she slowly knelt down on one knee. "Zixing greets Greedy Wolf Star Monarch." Star Monarch came from afar to participate in the power conference. It's Zixing's incompetence that disturbed Star Monarch's meditation. Please punish me. Please punish us. The two greedy wolf clan members of Zixing also knelt down at this time. Xuefeng opened his mouth at this time and said anxiously, "It's not like this. I sneaked out. Why do you want me to punish you? It's not like this. Star Monarch should be meditating in the land of inheritance. It's Zixing and our clansmen who didn't serve you well, so we let Star Monarch leave. The clansmen who serve Star Monarch should be punished. Zixing is incompetent, so she should be punished." Zixing lowered her head and said slowly, "The clansmen who are responsible for serving Star Monarch will be deducted 1 year's supply from today. After Zixing returns to the clan, she will enter the Grand Canyon for 10 days. The Grand Canyon on the plateau could blow a terrible gale that could tear human flesh apart. It was also a bitterly cold place. 10 days was not an easy task. Wait, don't mess around. What's wrong with them? It's obviously me." Xuefeng was about to argue. Mo Xiaofei suddenly pressed Xuefeng's shoulder and immediately shook his head, motioning Xuefeng not to say anything more. Xuefeng was a little anxious, but the restrictive force around him was still there, forcing Xuefeng's eyes to gradually reveal a strange golden light. "If you use your divine power here, Zixing will probably increase her punishment," Mo Xiaofei said coldly. Xuefeng was like a deflated balloon. Mo Xiaofei said at this time, "Since you're already here, don't stay here, lest others see you and cause unnecessary trouble. Young Master Zixing, Xuefeng was born in this city, and this is his original home. Let him stay at my place tonight." Star Monarch should return to the clan immediately. Zixing shook her head at this time. "With Xuefeng's character, you don't need to worry about him returning alone?" Mo Xiaofei said indifferently. "Or are you going to send someone to escort him all the way? At this critical juncture, can your people leave? Don't use any means of self-punishment. Xuefeng is still the Star Monarch of your greedy wolf clan. If he is unhappy, he will abolish your punishment. Do you still want to defy the order of the Star Monarch?" Yes. I said no punishment, so no punishment." Xuefeng hurriedly said at this time, "This is an order. I'm the greedy wolf Star Monarch, you said it? Since you don't listen to me, then I won't be the Star Monarch anymore. I'll run away from home. I'll wander." Zixing finally sighed slowly, then said with a helpless look, "Then, let's listen to Sir Mo. It's just about tomorrow's meeting, we must not let the Star Monarch. Let's talk about tomorrow's matter tomorrow." Mo Xiaofei interrupted directly at this time, "Tomorrow is not here yet, why are you in such a hurry?" Zixing seemed to be speechless, so she simply kept silent. The young master didn't dare to say more, and the two greedy wolf clan experts could only keep silent. "You go back first," Mo Xiaofei said directly at this time. "Since you intend to participate in tomorrow's competition, have a good rest tonight. Don't worry about other things." Zixing frowned and said, "Since the Star Monarch is here, as the greedy wolf which I need to serve by his side." "How old are you? You don't need to serve me." Mo Xiaofei waved his hand directly and said, "If you really want to serve me, wait a few more years. Besides, what can happen in the Forbidden City? Or do you suspect that I will harm Xuefeng?" Zixing doesn't dare. Zixing shook her head. Since Sir Mo has made such a decision, then Zixing can only obey. "Thank you, Sir Mo, for taking care of the Star Monarch." After a while, Zixing's young master left with the two greedy wolf clan experts with a heavy heart. Mo Xiaofei slowly breathed a sigh of relief at this time. He found that Xuefeng was looking at him with a strange expression at this time, so he couldn't help but wonder, "Is there something on my face? Big brother, didn't you notice that you looked very fierce just now?" Xuefeng said blankly. "Me?" Mo Xiaofei frowned a little in surprise. "Fierce? How should I put it?" Windchaser thought for a while and said, "I can't say that he is fierce. I just feel that he is special and, just like the discipline director in the school. He is very scary? It was just like when he suffered from soul loss in the Punglai treasure house. When he changed into a different person, it made people subconsciously unwilling to disobey. What kind of metaphor is this? Emo Xiaofei suddenly laughed. Hee. Zhu Feng smirked for a while and immediately threw away all his unhappiness. He put his hands on his waist and laughed at the tarmac outside. My master Zhu Feng is back again. Tremble. The world. Come on, do you think you don't have enough dark history in the past? Emo Xiaofei directly knocked on the back of Zhu Feng's head. Are you hungry? I'm hungry. Zhu Feng squatted on the ground at once. His tail was exposed and wagging. Don't act like a husky. If Zixing and the others see it, they will fight me to the death. Emo Xiaofei shook his head. You are the big brother. You will be the big brother for the rest of your life. The young man's world had always been so simple. At the same airport in another terminal building, Mr. Gareth had arrived early since receiving the Queen's secret order. Because they didn't consider the situation of the power conference. Only Gareth, one of the 12 inherited knights, led the knight mechanism, this time. It was due to the severe lack of manpower in Britain. After all, there had been a series of extraordinary events that left a terrible impact within Britain's borders not long ago. The 12 knights scattered in Britain were busy putting out fires everywhere at this time. This time, under the Queen's secret order, Lancelot could come to support, which was beyond Mr. Gareth's expectation. After all, among the 12 knights today, Lancelot may not be the strongest, but her comprehensive strength could be ranked in the top 3. The most important thing was that Lancelot's character was relatively stable. She was serious and responsible. Among the 12 knights full of addicts, problem children, and even lunatics, Lancelot was simply a clear stream. And she was a female. Female. Sir Gareth, it should be time. Why haven't I seen Knight Lancelot yet? Maybe there was a problem when taking the luggage. Let's wait and see. It's still early, Mr. Gareth said calmly. As a loyal and righteous knight, one should not be greedy for pleasure. So, even if it was a business trip, it was a virtue to take the economy class. Even in a noisy and crowded environment, it could train one's inner peace. Her Majesty the Queen said so. Lancelot believed it. Although she was more suspicious, it was simply because Her Majesty the Queen was more stingy. It shouldn't be checked. Standing in front of the transport belt, Lancelot sighed quietly. She was not dressed as a deacon at this time, but simply wore a more leisurely dress. She looked like a model, and no one would associate her with the 12 knights of the British knight mechanism. Finally, the luggage appeared in Lancelot's sight. She, who was a little irritated from waiting, quickly walked over, reached out and directly picked up the luggage between the two aunties. But at this time, another hand with a white glove grabbed the handle of the luggage at the same time. Lancelot frowned subconsciously, looking at the owner of the white glove. He looked like an extremely ordinary guy in his early 30s. He wore round-rimmed glasses, and his messy mid-length hair was tied up casually. He wore a loose cotton shirt, which was slightly yellowish. This luggage should be mine. You see, my name is written on it. The man smiled slightly at this time. I think our luggage is probably the same. Fortunately, we didn't mix it up. Lancelot nodded slightly. She had already seen the sticky note stuck on the suitcase. Indeed, it wasn't her name. Instead, it was written, Pu Lin. That should be yours. The man pointed at this time. Another identical luggage was slowly brought out from the conveyor belt at this time. As he said, the man took the initiative to take the luggage out. After looking at it casually, he smiled and said, Miss Lancelot, a very special name. Thank you. Lancelot nodded indifferently, and immediately picked up her own luggage. You're welcome. The man smiled slightly, then after saying goodbye, he pulled his luggage and walked slowly into the crowd of people exiting the gate. Lancelot found that this man was really quite ordinary. She even couldn't remember what this man looked like. He was the type that would be quickly lost in the crowd. The only thing she seemed to remember was the white gloves on the hands of this man named Poulin. Thinking of this, Lancelot took out the phone casually. "Gareth, I have arrived." Chapter 1995. After Mr. Gareth received Lancelot at the airport, he did not immediately return to the hotel where he was staying. At Lancelot's request, they went to a deserted place in the suburbs. "It should be about time, Lancelot. Let's do it like this." Lancelot nodded at this time, and immediately opened her hands slightly, as if she was chanting something. Light was slowly released from her body. This was the incantation to summon the 12 Knights' armor of inheritance. Mr. Gareth did not know the reason why Lancelot suddenly chanted the incantation. After a moment, Lancelot had turned into a knight in black armor. She said directly, "Gareth, don't be stunned, summon the armor of inheritance. You want to practice with me before tomorrow's competition?" Mr. Gareth could not help but ask subconsciously. Lancelot said directly, "You and the two of you work together. If Farrell is nearby, he will naturally feel the binding power of the Round Table Agreement. I want to see him." "What did you say?" Mr. Gareth was shocked. Mr. Gareth naturally would not hide such a big thing as encountering Farrell in the City of Exclusion from the Queen of Britain, but Her Majesty the Queen did not give any further instructions, only letting Gareth take good care of him. It was just that Farrell disappeared again the day before the summit meeting was about to start, and Mr. Gareth had no clue during this time. The so-called Round Table Agreement was an oath that had been signed since the establishment of the 12 Knights of the Round Table. But this oath did not have any substantial binding force. It was more like a signal. When the signal appeared, the 12 knights who were nearby had to obey the ancient oath and provide support to their companions. Of course, there was no punishment for not obeying. It was rooted in the noble character of the knights. Mr. Gareth never thought that if he summoned this ancient covenant, Farrell would obediently show up. That guy was crazy. How could he be so obedient? But what surprised Gareth was that when he could not resist Lancelot's gaze and summon this ancient covenant with her, Farrell really showed up. Damn it. I've been looking for him all this time for nothing? Mr. Gareth's mentality collapsed on the spot. Farrell had indeed appeared. Silently, not even the slightest movement of the airflow was produced. Like a ghost, he appeared in front of Mr. Gareth and Lancelot. He was still wearing the same wrinkled white suit. Nothing had changed from what Gareth had seen a few days ago. It wasn't that there wasn't the slightest difference. If one had to point out something, it would be that Farrell seemed a little more solemn, as if he was a little tired. The Knight's Ancient Covenant. Farrell stood with his hands behind his back, and said indifferently, "I thought you had already forgotten about this ancient covenant. What business do you have with me?" Even when facing Farrell in his normal state, Mr. Gareth, who was already wearing the legacy armor, was still extremely nervous. But at this moment, Lancelot, who was dressed in black armor, waved her hand, and the suitcase that she had brought along with her suddenly broke open. What broke open was only the outer layer of the suitcase. Surprisingly, there was a golden cabinet in the luggage. At this moment, the cabinet slowly opened. After a while, an upright obtuse sword slowly appeared in front of Mr. Gareth and Farrell. "This is—" Mr. Gareth's gaze turned cold, and his expression instantly became extremely serious. "Katiner." At this moment, the obtuse sword directly flew into Lancelot's hand. Lancelot was now holding the sword and straightening her body. At the same time, Farrell walked forward expressionlessly. He was getting closer and closer to Lancelot. Just when Mr. Gareth was wondering if Farrell would do anything unusual to harm Lancelot, Farrell actually slowly knelt down on one knee. Lowering his head, Mad Knight Farrell, at this moment, looked completely like a loyal knight paying respects to his monarch. This is the ceremonial sword used by the British royal family when passing down the throne of each generation. Lancelot said in a low voice. Each of us knights in front of it made an oath to the British king. Farrell, do you still remember the oath you made at that time? I swear on my life that I will dedicate everything to you, your Majesty the King. I will always remember humility, honor, sacrifice, valor, mercy, spirit, honesty, and justice. My sword is here. Before I fall, it and I will protect you. After I die, my soul will also guard your territory. My loyalty is my armor, and I will bleed for you until the end of my life. My sword is here. My blood will be sprinkled on the battlefield with honor. My sword is here. God blesses it to be sharp forever. Unless its master lowers his head, it will never break. My lord. Very good. You still remember your oath, Knight Farrell. At this moment, Lancelot slowly placed the ceremonial sword, Katner, on Farrell's shoulder. Tomorrow, you will fight for the royal family and win a seat on the council. Accept the order. Farrell didn't respond. He just silently knelt on the ground without moving. Time passed in such a strange and quiet way. After an unknown amount of time, Farrell suddenly pushed the ceremonial sword away from his shoulder and said indifferently, I refuse. Lancelot said sternly, Farrell, are you going to violate your oath? Farrell said indifferently, the king I swore allegiance to is no longer here. My oath has been scattered with the wind. I didn't swear allegiance to the current queen. Lancelot frowned. But Farrell's reaction seemed to be within her expectations. At this moment, she nodded and slowly put away the ceremonial sword. Her Majesty has some words that she wants me to pass on to you. Do you want to hear them? Farrell was silent for a while. What did she say? You are the most outstanding knight. You are the most powerful knight. You are the light of Britain. Are you willing to see the land of Britain become a place to be colonized by the extraordinary world that is about to arrive, that land you once swore to protect? Farrell didn't respond. He just stood up silently. He disappeared. Mr. Gareth didn't see clearly how he left, but Lancelot had already removed the armor of heritage at this time. He didn't follow suit and removed his own. Mr. Gareth smiled bitterly. We are both successors of the 12 Knights. I still don't understand why the gap between us and him is so big. Do you think he will come back tomorrow? I don't know. Lancelot shook her head, but I have finished what Her Majesty, the Queen, asked me to do. Finished? Mr. Gareth's heart skipped a beat. His expression changed slightly. What do you mean by finished? Lancelot said bluntly, my task has been completed, so I have to go back. The Queen has no guards by her side. I can't go back. Mr. Gareth's eyes widened in disbelief. His voice also changed. Wait. You came all the way here just to pass a few words to Farrell? Otherwise? Didn't you come to support me in the Strength Conference? Her Majesty the Queen didn't give this order. Lancelot shook her head. Mr. Gareth slapped his head at this time. His mentality really collapsed at this time. Wait, when he talked to Her Majesty the Queen on the phone, Her Majesty the Queen did say that Lancelot would arrive tonight. She only said that she would arrive and didn't say what Lancelot would do. I don't want to play any more. Mr. Gareth, whose mentality had collapsed, directly took off the brooch of the knight mechanism and threw it to the ground. I quit. Whoever wants to be the chief can be the chief. It was originally something that none of you were willing to do and forced on me. But at the moment when Mr. Gareth was angry, the earth suddenly trembled. In the distance, a huge shadow was rapidly approaching. With the shadow's rapid arrival, the tremors of the earth became more and more intense. In the end, what appeared in front of Mr. Gareth and Lancelot was a mountain. No, it should be said that it was a huge rock the size of a small mountain, and this rock was currently being held up by Farrell with one hand. Why are you back? Gareth subconsciously said, Mr. Farrell? He always had a kind of ominous premonition that he couldn't explain clearly. At this time, Farrell said indifferently, From now until tomorrow's competition, use this big rock to train. First, squat with weights for an hour. You're not allowed to summon the armor of inheritance. 1 hour? Mr. Gareth subconsciously swallowed his saliva and screamed, "Impossible! It's impossible for humans to do this. Besides, tomorrow's the competition, what's the point of training at this time? Even if this kind of training is effective, it won't improve much in a short time, okay? Even if it's only a 10,000th of one's strength, it's still an improvement. In a battle between the strong, a 10,000th of one's strength is still a victory." Farrell said solemnly, "Strength is accumulated little by little, from a small drop to a vast ocean, one step at a time. Hard work will make you stronger. Catch." Without waiting for Mr. Gareth to react, Farrell directly threw the huge rock in his hand at Mr. Gareth. At this time, it was too late for him to recite the incantation to put on the armor of inheritance. When the huge rock came crashing down, he instinctively ran. Unexpectedly, Farrell suddenly flicked a stone from his hand and hit him in the knee, causing him to kneel on the ground. Seeing the huge rock coming down, Mr. Gareth could only use both hands to catch it. His waist bones seemed to have been crushed. His face turned red, and he barely caught the huge rock. "Start the countdown now. It's not standard. One fist. This kind of fist." As Farrell spoke, he directly swung his fist into the distance. The terrifying fist pressure instantly blew up a big tree dozens of meters away. He really could do it. Mr. Gareth was now drenched in cold sweat. Farrell really could do it. He swung his fist at him. However, at this time, with this terrifying huge rock, Mr. Gareth was completely holding his breath and exerting all his strength. He couldn't speak at all. He seriously suspected that this huge rock was directly dug out by Farrell from the circle of mudstone mountains outside the city of Abstinence, or he took it from the scene of the power conference that the administration was rapidly building. Seeing this, Lancelot was packing her luggage. After she peeled off the packaging of the luggage and pasted it back, she clapped her hands, pulled the handle of the luggage, and directly left. "Where are you going?" Farrell suddenly asked. "The task given to me by His Majesty has been completed." "Naturally I should leave," Lancelot said indifferently. "For tomorrow's competition, I will support you in spirit." "You stay too," Farrell said directly. "After he finishes his squats, you change. Now use your fastest speed and swing your sword 10,000 times. It was not funny, not funny." Mr. Gareth swore that he was definitely not gloating at this time, because if he laughed, he would have a stroke, and if he had a stroke, he would be crushed into a meat patty. Later, Knight Lancelot, who was evaluated by Mr. Gareth as the most stable and normal among the 12 knights, had to take off her sandals and swing her sword in humiliation. In the distance, Mr. Song was looking at the huge rock and pondering in silence. When the incident happened, he was actually discussing some issues with Farrell. They no longer used mobile phones because Wolfgang was back and he could be a tool and translator. But as he spoke, Farrell ran out without a word, and came hither and thither to meet the 2 British knights. "I know a little about the knight mechanism," Wolfgang thought at this time and said, "I also heard about this Farrell." "Tell me about it," Mr. Song said indifferently. He and Farrell did not ask about each other's background out of respect for the strong, but this time it was someone else who told him, so naturally it was a different matter. In the land of Eurasia, there was a terrible war 100 years ago. Wolfgang slowly talked about the war in Eurasia 100 years ago. As a transcendent being who had infiltrated this subworld with a recruitment mission, it was impossible for Wolfgang to rashly enter without investigating the slightest bit of information about Subworld 003. Since he discovered the subworld for the contribution of the organization, he had collected some information about the strong people in this world. Originally, Farrell was also on the list of people he planned to recruit. However, what Wolfgang did not expect was that he could actually meet the queen from hell in this subworld, the fallen morning star. Of course, it was to trick her. Thinking about it, if he could develop the fallen morning star into a subworld, it would be exciting, right? After that, the contribution points he would get would be enough for him to squander for a long time, right? After a while. If that's the case, the so-called fight against the demons is, in essence, a crusade against that magical shop. Mr. Song pondered and was about to say something, but suddenly his eyes moved and looked in another direction. In the distance, 3 figures were rapidly approaching. In an instant, "Your Holiness!" Gong Fanqing and Charlot walked over together. At that moment, Gong Fanqing was carrying an old man with a childish complexion and white hair. However, he appeared to be in an extremely sorry state. He was wearing a Taoist robe. "Who is this person?" Mr. Song frowned and asked. "Your Holiness, this person's Taoist name is Yang Taizi," Gong Fanqing said casually. "He is the current head of Huanjin sect. I happened to meet him." Huanjin sect? The successor of Tai Bai. Mr. Song nodded and muttered, as if he was thinking about something. Chapter 1996. Senior Yang Taizi was squatting on the ground with a dull look. He was asking why to himself. He should have a good hand of cards in his hands. Look, the mountain of his sect, Huanjin Dao, was actually very close to the city of abstinence. There were so many Taoist and monster territories in Kelowna, but none of them were as close as him. Although Huanjin Dao was a small sect, including Jean Eyre, there were only 2 people in the entire sect, but as the saying goes, there are too many monks and too little gruel. The master and disciple were in the same sect, and they even had their own mountain, so it was very comfortable to live there. What's more, Yang Taizi knew himself well. He didn't have much talent in cultivation. His current cultivation was achieved through hard work. Even with the recovery of his soul, Yang Taizi couldn't make many breakthroughs. It was estimated that he would remain like this for the rest of his life. But anyway, he was a member of the Taoist Association, and had a little fame in the business circle of the rich people in the nearby area. When he was free, he would walk on the stage and recite scriptures at dinner parties. A lot of worldly wealth would naturally be sent to him. He had even accumulated enough wealth for himself to squander in the last few years of his unsuccessful cultivation. At the same time, he could also break the virginity technique that he had practiced for hundreds of years. Then, his life would not be in vain. But why was it like this? This old Taoist kept a low profile. If he couldn't win, he would run away. He only talked without fighting. He didn't even knock on the widow's door in the middle of the night. He only focused on Taoism. He ate simple tea and plain rice every day. Yes, Yang Taizi did come to join in the fun. Huanjin Dao didn't have a sense of existence in the Taoist Association. Even many big sects didn't know about this sect if they didn't look at the list of the association. Therefore, Yang Taizi's name wasn't in the guest list of the Song Dynasty Hotel. Senior Yang Taizi was furious. He was lurking in the internal chat group of the Association of Tao Sects of the Divine Land every day. Seeing those old guys who were about the same age as him hanging out with young models every day, he couldn't help but beat his chest and stamp his feet. "No. I want to come too." That was probably what happened. Senior Yang Taizi rushed all the way from the mountain of Huanjin sect to the city of Forbidden and got on an online hailing car, arriving at the gate of Song Dynasty Hotel. "I'm Yang Taizi, the current head of Huanjin Dao, the mainstay of the Taoist Association. I'm here for the meeting." Then there was no more then. He was picked up by Gong Fanqing and Charlotte, who happened to pass by. Finally, he appeared here, in front of Mr. Song. This was not the city of exclusion, and Mr. Song did not deliberately conceal himself on this trip. It was just that his breath was condensed and did not leak out, but the aura of a powerful person was there. What frightened Senior Yang Taizi was that he probably couldn't defeat any of them. He didn't know where they came from. However, the conversation between Mr. Song and Gong Fanxing seemed to be related to the Huanjin sect. How do you know my ancestors' names? Although Yang Taizi didn't know his situation, he was really curious about this guy who knew the origin of his sect. Mr. Song didn't say anything, but Gong Fanxing said indifferently, "Your ancestor used to chase after me. How come I don't know him?" "Nonsense, how could my ancestor?" Yang Taizi wanted to be tough. But Gong Fanxing, the female devil of Kelowna hundreds of years ago, made senior Yang Taizi realize it himself. Mr. Song said, "I didn't expect the descendant of Green Lotus Sword Immortal to be so useless. All the nobles, generals and ministers are nothing but a pile of yellow soil." Yang Taizi was angry, but he didn't dare to say anything. Huan Zhendao had indeed declined, and this had been recorded in the ancient books of this sect for hundreds of years. Huan Zhendao wasn't a big sect with a lot of followers, and it seemed to have a long history of laziness in accepting disciples. The ancestor only accepted 2 disciples, one of whom was even expelled from the sect. As for the other one, after the ancestor disappeared, there was no news about him. The current Huan Zhendao was actually picked up by a manservant who was responsible for tending the fire in the sect. This manservant was also a registered disciple of the ancestor, but he didn't learn any profound martial arts. After the ancestor disappeared, this manservant indeed integrated a new set of martial arts from the ancient books of the sect, but his achievement was limited. For so many years, the aura of heaven and earth was declining day by day, and the sect didn't have the support of the core martial arts. The inheritance of Green Lotus Sword Immortal in Kelowna had disappeared in the history. Only some real old guys in the Taoism Association had some impression of Huan Zhendao. To be honest, the reason why Huan Zhendao could be registered in the Taoism Association was that 100 Tribulation Taoists opened the back door for them. Yang Taizi heard that the ancestor of Huan Zhendao had once guided this evergreen tree of the Taoism Association, so he probably came here to repay his kindness. However, as the current head of Huan Zhendao, how could he let it go when his sect was humiliated? "I know my qualification is limited, and my achievement is also low." Yang Taizi suddenly stood up, his robe fluttering. "You can humiliate me, but you can't humiliate our sect. What do you want?" Mr. Song looked at him, his eyes sharp like a sword. Yang Taizi's surging momentum was like a deflated balloon. He even said in a negotiating tone, "When you humiliate our sect, can you be gentler?" The air suddenly became quiet. Wolfgang even opened his mouth subconsciously. He didn't know who Tai Bai Jinxing was. When he came to this subworld, there was no such person. Among the top experts in this subworld, there was no Green Lotus Sword Immortal that he could remember. Maybe it was a guy who always kept a low profile. When Wolfgang came to this subworld, he didn't even know the existence of Mr. Song. And he was freakishly powerful. Green Lotus Tai Bai's descendant is so timid, what's the use of keeping him? Mr. Song snorted, killing intent flashing through his eyes. At this time Gong Fanxing suddenly said, "Your Honor, please wait. Listen to me." "Speak." Mr. Song directly put his hands behind his back and turned around. Gong Fanxing stepped forward, whispering, "Your Honor, although Anjin's sect has declined, Tai Bai Jinxing's true descendant is still alive. Qin Haodong has gotten Tai Bai's Green Lotus Sword Song. If he can complete Sword Codex one day, I'm afraid he'll be a big disaster. This old Taoist is the last descendant of Anjin's sect. If we deal with him carelessly, I'm afraid we'll never be able to forgive Qin Haodong." Mr. Song said indifferently, "Are you pleading for mercy for Anjin's sect?" Gong Fanxing lowered his head and said, "How would I dare to do that? It's just that your honor needs more help. That Qin guy's attainments in swordsmanship are not weak. In time, he might become another Green Lotus Sword Fairy. How could your honor bear to part with such a talent? It's not about giving up, it's about whether he can be used or not." Mr. Song said casually, Tai Jinxing was proud all his life, he was never used by others. His sword is unyielding, so is his disciple. But Tai Jinxing's disciple is a woman. Gong Fanqing said, as long as she's a woman, she won't be heartless. If your honor trusts me, I'll handle this matter. That Qin Haodong has a grudge with you, you treat her like an enemy, what do you plan to do? Mr. Song asked directly. Qin Chuyu didn't know the truth of Tai Jinxing's disappearance, she thought I knew his whereabouts. So, I can use him as a bait. Gong Fanqing said slowly, as long as she still wants to find Tai Jinxing, we have enough bargaining chips. Mr. Song was silent. After a while, Mr. Song said calmly, well, I've already missed Tai Jinxing. If I can get the new sword immortal into my pocket, I'll settle one of my worries. I'll leave this matter to you. Yes, Your Honor. Besides. Mr. Song suddenly turned around, looking straight at Yang Taizi. Tomorrow's power conference. Let's attend it in the name of Anjin sect. I want to make Anjin sect's name resound in Kelowna once again. Senior Yang Taizi was shocked, saying, what? At this moment, Gong Fanqing also looked at Mr. Song in surprise, but she soon understood the intention of Mr. Song. He was trying to lure Qin Chuyu out. The best way was to make Anjin sect's name appear in the eyes of the world, and this power conference was obviously the best opportunity. As for whether his honor had other intentions, Gong Fanqing couldn't guess. The imperial family's thoughts were always unpredictable. Should we give Farrell a heads up? Seeing Mr. Song was about to leave, Wolfgang came forward and asked. Mr. Song waved his hand. No need. He knows I'm coming, so he'll know I'm leaving. Midnight was the time when the vampires were at their most energetic. The representatives of the 13 clans chose to leave the Forbidden City at this time and came to a camp that had been set up in the outskirts of the city long ago. Many supernatural representatives chose to leave the city one day or half a day earlier for preparation, so Baelgang's group didn't encounter too many obstacles when they left the city. After a series of reports, the agents of the administration who were checking on the road directly let them go. The camp of the 13 families was behind a mountain. The 13 clans were one of the oldest and most powerful factions in the European continent. Their name and foundation were there for all to see, so no one in the vicinity dared to provoke them. When Baelgang's group arrived at the camp, a medium-sized truck slowly drove into the camp. The vampires of the 13 families immediately came forward and surrounded the truck. Obviously, they didn't know the arrival of this truck. You can leave first, leave this to me. At this time, Baeligan ordered the vampires who came with him to retreat, and then left him alone. At this time, the door of the truck opened, and a young man with a cold face jumped out. It was a young man with silver palms, Gongsun Jishui. I said, if there's nothing, we don't need to meet again. Baelgang said indifferently, I don't remember your master being so clingy. The Grand Duke is joking. Gongsun Jishui said expressionlessly, my master knows that the Grand Duke is going to participate in the strength competition tomorrow, so he specially asked me to send you a gift, hoping that the Grand Duke can win in the competition tomorrow. Gift? Baelgang frowned slightly. Gongsun Jishui went directly to the back of the truck and opened the door of the truck. Suddenly, a mist slowly escaped from the truck. Baelgang walked forward and looked directly into the truck. A little light was enough for vampires to see everything in the darkness. This is a fighter, Gongsun Jishui said slowly, just like the fighters in the ancient Roman arena. Baelgang frowned. Inside the box was a creature that had a hard shell like a stratum corneum all over its body, but its head was covered with an alloy helmet. At this time, its entire body was pierced with hundreds of steel needles. It looked like a worm, but not a human. The existence of those steel needles seemed to be able to restrict the movement of this strange fighter. But at this time, from the half-opened eyes, Baelgang saw madness and confusion. Tomorrow's strength competition will gather the powerful transcendents from all over the world. Is this, fighter, enough to deal with it? Baelgang said doubtfully. The Grand Duke can give it a try. At this time, Gongsun Jishui directly reached out and grabbed 3 steel needles from the strange fighter's body. In an instant, the eyes of the fighter in the box instantly turned into a bloody vortex. With a sonic boom, the entire truck exploded into pieces. A sharp blade shot out from the arm of the strange fighter and stabbed at Baelgang. But when the sharp blade was about to pierce Baelgang, it seemed to be rolled up by an invisible tentacle. Is that it? Baelgang said casually. My young master said that when all the steel needles are pulled out, it can temporarily exert the power of a peak transcendence. Gongsun Jishui said and waved his hand. The 3 steel needles in his hand once again shot into the body of the strange fighter. The strange fighter fell to the ground all of a sudden, but it was still struggling like a trapped beast. Baelgang looked at it and shook his head. To what extent did you destroy this guy's mind? A beast that has lost its mind and only knows how to destroy is not very useful. Take this bell. Gongsun Jishui threw out a bell. The sound of the bell can simply drive it to be used by you. Baelgang took a deep look at Gongsun Jishui and took the bell. He pondered for a moment and then said indifferently, Gongsun Xiu, why did you help me? Gongsun Jishui said, My young master is the seat of the sun, but Grand Duke, you are also the seat of the moon. The sun and the moon should help each other. But unfortunately I, the moon, don't like to borrow the sun's light. Baelgang chuckled, Okay, I will accept this gift for the time being. But go back and tell your young master that although the fool is missing or maybe the fool is dead, but the fool is the fool, and there is only one fool. Not everyone can replace him. I will pass on the Grand Duke's words to my young master. Gongsun Jishui nodded and then said loudly, In that case, I will take my leave. Wait. Baelgang suddenly stopped. What is the name of this, fighter? No name. Gongsun Jishui said indifferently, If Grand Duke likes it, give him a name. Then let's call him Midnight. Baelgang said casually, It happened to be delivered by midnight. It was really casual. But thinking that this was a guy who would use a scarecrow to replace him in the clan meeting, Gongsun Jishui didn't say anything. He nodded to show that he understood and directly left the camp of the 13 clans.